Welcome to RPG Book Club. On today's episode, the fire puts us in the mood to do it. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I am Maddie Spiffle Weapon.
Yay!
Yay!
And today we will be playing my absolute favorite game of all time, my auto-RPG. And we'll be playing part 1 of Chapter 1 of Legend of Dragoon. Chapter 1 is called Serdian War, and we'll be stopping right after, like, plot-wise, it's both a good and horrible place to stop because it has a lot of, like, momentum to the next place, but, like, it's a thematic change, so it's, like,
all I wanted
horrible.
to do was continue playing the damn game, and you forced me to stop, Sam. I hate you.
Yes, so we're saving on the world map after the battle in the town of Hoax, and that's when Dart awakens as a Dragoon. Spoiler, a game called Legend of Dragoon, the main character is a Dragoon.
My God, I never would have guessed.
But before we get that, and because this is Thanksgiving week, what are you guys thankful for? I know it's cheesy and cliche, but
no, it's good to think about things we're thankful for. I feel like it's a very healthy practice, and that's why I like Thanksgiving, even though it's a bullshit, problematic holiday.
Yes.
She said it better than I could. I'm very thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for Ken. I mean, pretty much just all the people in my life who care about me. Is with my depression, it makes it really difficult for me to remember that people actually care about me. So, like, I need reassurance and reminders that nobody's gonna, like, up and fucking abandon me at a moment's notice, and I get those reminders almost every day, and that really means a lot to me.
That's really good.
It's awesome.
What about you, Maddie?
Okay, boy, where do I even start? I'm thankful for the Bay Area, California. It's a wonderful place to be, and I'm glad that I'm here. I'm thankful for all of the really wonderful friends that I have that I didn't realize just how good a lot of my friends were until I started having a really hard time. And all my friends stepped up to the plate and were just awesome and have been smothering me with kindness and care the last couple months to the point where it's like it makes me want to die. And that was not just with the stuff with my ex, but also also starting this transition. Every single person I've told has just been, like, the most supportive, and not even just supportive, like, saying words, but, like, multiple people have been like, what's your address? I'm gonna mail you some shit.
Oh,
that's awesome.
That's so good.
Yeah, like, I've gotten one package already of shit, and there's, like, 2 more coming from someone, some clothes and some jewelry from, like, people, and then another person who lives in the Bay, already a friend of mine, but I hadn't told her that I was solidifying the name and pronoun change yet. And when I told her a few days ago, she was like, oh, hey, you're coming over to my place for Thanksgiving, right? Which I was. She was like, we're kind of the same size. You should try on some of my hand-me-downs. And I was like, oh my God.
That's awesome.
That's so good.
It was like legitimately like, I was like, my emotions couldn't like deal with it. I was like, this needs to stop. Because everyone's being too nice to me, and I don't understand.
I have some old girl clothes, but I'm like twice your size, so I'm not sure
it's probably not going to happen. And then I'm thankful for this podcast for sure because it's I play very few video games right now because of how tough my life is, and I feel like if it wasn't for this, I'd probably play, like, no video games, and that sucks. So, it's like I'm being forced to do this, even though it's extremely enjoyable.
Yeah.
I have to force myself to do something that I like doing.
Yeah.
And of course, this community that we've built here, not just the two of you, but also, our Discord and how wonderful everyone is, and our sweet son Matt, and our sweet other children as well, of course. Yes. It's like the Arrested Development. It's like I love all my children equally, and then it's like aside, I don't care for. I don't care for one of them. I won't.
I won't say which one.
yeah. So that's and I'm thankful for this holiday season, which is going to kick ass.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to go get some grapes while I'm still listening, but not recording. You know what I mean? Like, you can't hear me.
Okay. I am thankful for, because the other day I finished my playthrough of Legend of Dragoon, and I was just like, man, this is so good. Not playthrough the whole game. Almost, but not quite. No. Of my stuff for the week.
You somehow restrained yourself, huh?
Yeah, I somehow restrained myself from playing the whole time. In fact, Matt also had trouble restraining himself. He put in the true spoilers thing on the Discord. He's like, wait, why are we stopping right here? Why aren't we going to the next bit? I'm like, I know, but we have to. But and so I finished my thing, and I was feeling all like sappy and shit, like you do at 11:30 on Sunday nights. And so I messaged my best friend Daniel from 5th grade, who because I was a huge dweeb in 5th grade, and so I walk out to the playground and I could see all the cool kids are playing Foursquare and talking and stuff, and then there's these 3 kids of Daniel, Wade, and Erica are pretending to hit each other with swords, and I'm like, those are my people. And so I go over and talk with them, and we become great friends and everything. But I don't understand their parlance at all, because I had played Sonic games, and that was about it at the time. And so Daniel was just like, nah, dude, you gotta play this game called Legend of Dragoon, and handed me his copy from his backpack, because that's what you do.
Yeah,
and so,
you carried around games.
Yep.
And so I went home and I played Legend of Dragoon, and now I have a JRPG podcast. And so it's like, if I hadn't met Daniel, I wouldn't have made this whole thing. And so like this game, Daniel has now joined the Discord, so like he gets to hang out with us and stuff, and it's like just this whole big like yummy feeling, and I'm so excited to play this game. And here in about 5 minutes, you're going to be like, this is the worst game I've ever played, and it's going to break my heart. But as I was joking with my therapist this week, which, by the way, therapy is cheaper than you think, and you should totally go and find a therapist.
It's very good and very important.
But I was talking with her this week, and I was like, yeah, I'm afraid that they won't like it. And she was like, well, will that matter? And I was like, well, no, because I'll probably have lots of good reasons, and they'll at least concede my points, and that's important to me. But yeah, so I'm excited to get in, and that wasn't on purpose going to be a segue, but it's actually a great segue, and we can start talking about the game.
Yeah, hold on. I do it. Sorry, I have news that y'all will want to hear.
Okay.
Well, just another thing I'm looking for. Last night I went out in public being a different way for the first time.
Yay!
Which was exciting. I was going to hang out with that aforementioned friend, Rachel. Oh, wait, no, sorry. I was going to hang out with a different friend. But then that friend bailed for very good reasons. I wasn't upset or anything. And I was like, I was working myself up emotionally to go out with the girl, the look. But then now I don't have anywhere to go. I'm literally all gussied up and nowhere to go. Although not yet, because I hadn't gussied up yet. So I'm lazing around at home. Anyway, I end up setting up a date. And then I'm like, should I? Yeah, I should. So then I extremely quickly put my entire look together, and I looked really good. So,
Yes.
Yeah, so that's exciting. That's exciting news. I think I'm thankful for. Okay, on to Legend of Legacy, Legend of Legaia, Legend of Kells.
I'm so glad.
Legend of Zelda.
I'm so glad that for the most part, the words "the Legend of" have been put in a moratorium for RPGs and RPG-like games for the past 20 years.
The Legend of Drell's.
The last story.
Yeah.
The Dragon? What are we playing?
Yeah. So we're playing Legend.
Dragoon Quest?
Yeah. We're playing Final Fantasy V, but you only can play the Dragoon class.
But they're not the jumpy boys that you get in Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
No.
So a Dragoon is not a jumpy boy, which is what we think a Dragoon is from video games. A Dragoon is also not a
Dragon.
another. Well, it's also not a base, like the actual word Dragoon IRL, it's like kind of the same thing as cavalry.
Yeah,
it's a person driving a tank. So apparently that's not a Dragoon either. No, apparently a Dragoon is a dragon man.
Well,
No,
I looked it up.
Dragoon is a Power Ranger, is what it is.
Yeah.
I looked it up, and apparently Dragoon originated in like the 17 or 1800s, and it just meant guys on horses who used guns.
Yeah,
That's
what this game
kind
is.
of what I thought.
I think it was 1800s.
I knew something like that. Yeah, and then later it became used a lot in like World War I and stuff.
I'm just like, where the hell did you get the word Dragoon from? And why do we use it so much in fantasy now?
We took dragon and thought, you know what? There aren't enough O's in this word. Wait, I have one more thing to share. I'm sorry. I was going to share it during Sam's story, and then I forgot. Just because, again, you all appreciate this. You know the whole thing about having a friend that just has a video game in his pocket? Mm-hmm. Well, I had never played an RTS or even knew what an RTS was. And then one day my brother Daniel comes home, and he's like, hey, Michael, let's install this game called StarCraft. And I figured that'd be appropriate because y'all are Blizzard boys. And I'm like, what's that? And he's like, I don't know. My friend just literally at school was like, you got to play this game, man, and handed me a burned CD. Of course, with the registration code written on it because of piracy. I have. I'm sorry to say, Sam, I have never purchased the game StarCraft.
I'm gonna turn you.
Neither have I.
Well,
although when I bought the special edition of StarCraft 2, it came with StarCraft 1 on a zip drive, so I do own a legal copy of it. But anyway, my deep and abiding. The only Blizzard game I really particularly like is StarCraft, and also Lost Vikings, and my deep abiding love from StarCraft also came from a random guy at school that gave my brother a disc.
That's so good.
I found a copy of Majora's Mask at my school.
My Game Boy Advance SP I found at my school, and no one ever came to claim it. Like, I was doing all the due diligence of like, look, this is like a $200 thing or whatever at the time. I was like, this is important. Somebody is missing this, and nobody ever came to claim it. So my entire Game Boy Advance upbringing was because of I stole it from some kid at a playground.
Oh,
that owns
the Majora's Mask thing. That was someone else. Some other girl at the school had found it and was like, hey, you've got a Nintendo 64, right? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, I found this game. And I was like, great. And this was before Ben drowned. So I had
so you weren't scared of it.
You didn't think, wait, I shouldn't play this.
And, I had no concept of cursed games, which is great because Majora's Mask is creepy as hell, and I love it.
Yeah. Hopefully you had the expansion pack at the time, because my old roommate, Michaela, she was talking how she loves Zelda and never got to play Majora's Mask, so somebody brought her a copy, but her N64 doesn't have an expansion pack, so she was just like, great. Now I can look at a copy of Majora's Mask in my room.
I got my N64 from a boyfriend who didn't want it anymore.
Weird.
And it had an expansion pack in it. Yeah, I know.
That's a red flag.
To take all my worldly possessions.
Frankly, I have no love for the N64 in particular, but I feel like not wanting any video game console anymore is just like...
Right.
Well,
if you can't commit to a video game console, how are you going to commit to me?
He'd upgraded to PlayStation. So...
Upgraded?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, just like he upgrades to a new girlfriend every 3 months.
I mean, honestly, I was the one who dumped him, so it was fine.
Good.
Okay, cool.
You're like, thanks for this N64, it's not working out. Anywho, Legend of Dragoon. So, I love how I had a great segue, and then we spent another 5 minutes destroying that segue.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I really felt like you'd appreciate the StarCraft thing as a Blizzard fan.
It was very good.
I'm the only Blizzard boy left here.
Yeah.
Well, unless there is a country.
Yeah. Which he had said he was going to come back today, and I called him, and I think he slept through his alarms. So we were going to wait, but two out of the three of us have something to do, and also my best friend Tara is in town, which was going to be my original thank you, is that my best friend Tara came to spend the whole week with us, but then I just got distracted by Legend of Dragoon. Yeah, so we all have stuff to do. So if he's not on time, he gets left in the dust. So we're going to get started. But yeah, so you load up the game and the intro video starts, and like for the most part it's just like a hype reel for the game, but it has like it's in a world text that goes on top of it. Final Fantasy Tactics style is actually like important, and it's just like, hey guys, this is the theme of the game, keep this in mind. And so because it's here, I'm not going to like do a big reveal when it happens, and because I want you to look for it as you get through it, because it's important to me. And so instead of me having to make you remember all the junk from it, I can just point to it right now, and now when it happens, you can see it. But the words say, when the clash of swords echo, the journey chasing the past ends, and the journey to know today begins. One soul seeks another and pledges their sworn friendship to another. The one mystery begets the next, and the fate of doors are open. You are free to sever the chains of fate that bind you. And
you are now free to move about the country.
Right? And the main gist of that is let the past die, kill it if you have to. And the whole game is about your expectations and your memories and things like that, and knowing that like the world can change, and it's okay if it can change, and it's really important that it does change. And that comes into play with literally every character's backstory except for Miranda. When we get to Miranda, you'll see that she's just we needed a 7th party member, so here we go. Slot her in, I guess. But
it happens. They can't all be winners.
Yeah, but every other person comes up with their own variation on this problem and has to get through it, and like that's why I love the game. This game is about 7 characters to me. I really can't even tell you what the plot is. I know what the plot is, but it's like stupid anime shit. The main thing,
whatever.
The main thing is these 7 people go on an adventure together, and it's really dope.
Right, and figure out all their shit.
But go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say this intro the font is really bad, and the writing, even though I'm sure it is important. You said it's like Final Fantasy Tactics, and I was like, yeah, it's just like a bunch of flowery, poetic nonsense with a bad font and some nice graphics behind it. And I'm like, and it happens, and it's supposed to be dramatic, but I'm just like, cool. Time to start the game.
Yeah. The most important thing that happens, though, is it starts with a kick-ass guitar solo that isn't part of the main theme of the game. They just wanted a kick-ass guitar solo to be the first thing you hear when you load it up. And then the main theme happens, and the main theme is like the vibe I give it is a sad episode of Charmed. That's the musical vibe that they're going for, and it's good. Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the music so far.
Yeah.
The music is... Well, actually, the music also ties in with the game's aesthetics in a lot of ways that I'll actually bring up later once there's more context. Yeah. The music has an interesting feel to it. The gist of it is that it feels a lot more Western, which I know one of the 2 composers was a Westerner. But it... Well, to say, basically the music reminds me a lot more of the music of, like, Echo the Dolphin, or a bunch of Amiga games, or what was the other one? Echo the Dolphin, Amiga games, Secret of Evermore.
Yeah.
So it's got that feeling where it's certainly not nearly as melodic so much as it's just like the production value is really up there, and it's got a lot of like ambient, prog rocky kind of like sounds to it, and that's not something you get a whole lot, especially not from a Japanese video game.
Yeah.
That's like, I guess all the games I just mentioned are Western or are Japanese, but like Echo the Dolphin was published by Sega, but it was made by like some Swedish people, right? And that's why it has weird like Swedish ambient progressive rock music. So yeah, it's interesting music coming from a very bog standard JRPG.
Yeah. And, like, my favorite thing about it is about, like, half and half from just, like, a groovy, rocky beat that they have, like, 15 different variations of, or, like, just a melody and accompaniment type thing. And it's, like, none of it is really, like, fits into any sort of, like, JRPG trope type thing.
Yeah.
But it's like,
that's nice.
You get one of these two things, and it's probably one of these two composers, but it's good. I like it so much.
Yeah, like if you listen to, I don't know this for sure, but I would imagine that if I listened to the soundtrack, having not played the game, I would not be able to tell if a track is like, oh, this is a town theme, this is a field theme, this is a world map thing. I don't feel like I'd be able to tell, which is interesting. Yeah, I feel like in some ways you could say that's a bad thing, but it's also a cool and good thing.
Yeah, the only ones you can pick out is you're like, okay, well, this is a battle theme, but then you play the game and you're like, oh, well, sometimes the battle theme is used for like tense music and stuff, and so it's really cool. But
It's neat.
yeah, so you start, you click on new game, and away we go. One thing I did like is the title screen is the same guitar solo, just done in MIDI instead of a guitar, and it's so weird, but I love it. But yeah, so you click new game, and you get treated with the gorgeous full motion videos of this game. And when I was young, Jesus Christ, Scarlett. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, she's just a butt. But yeah. So when I was little, I called these the live action parts of this game because
Aw,
That's cute.
adorable.
yeah, because they were like, I knew that they weren't, but like that's what I called them because that's what they felt like. And
Yeah, like in your brain, those are the two kinds of things.
Yeah.
Animated and live action. So.
Yeah.
yeah, these are the gameplay is all the anime parts, and then the others are the live action parts. But yeah. So the FMV starts with like the music. First off, is really cool. It's like downplayed and like sad, and the beat doesn't drop until the last 10 seconds of the FMV, and it's just like thoughtful. Which makes it weird because the FMV is about dudes on these anteater looking horses coming in and just destroying an entire town, and it's cool. So this big huge dude in the armor, which you're like, oh, he's going to be the final boss of the game and not the first boss of the game. So he comes in and he has this chick on this table, and everyone's like, hey, right this way, Commander. And he pulls out some magical stone, holds it to her head, and it like does some magic-y reaction thing, and he's just like, all right, this is the girl. And so he's like, take her away, she belongs to Emperor Dole now. And as he's walking away, this dude in a cloak comes up, and dude in the cloak is like, all right, like, she's all part of the plan, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, I'm spooky and mysterious because you can't see my face.
Something complete.
And the commander is like, who is she anyways? And the cloak man is like, that is not your concern. And then the beat drops and the bad guys run off into the night, and it's super mysterious, and that mystery doesn't go away. We've played JRPGs, so we know that she's the chosen one of whatever the fuck, but it's like this entire first playthrough, every single person is like, huh, that was weird. Shana, who the hell are you? And she's like, I don't know.
Oh.
But
And unlike the last game we played, they're not gonna set up a twist that you expect to come 20 hours later, and instead it comes 20 minutes later.
so like they do pay off things early in this game, which is one thing I like about it. They just like, oh, the heroes want to do a thing, let's just go do the thing right now. But because like some JRPGs would be like, oh, we need to go stop the Emperor, so let's have a 70-hour trek to stop the Emperor. You like, spoilers, we're going to kill Emperor Dole next episode, and then we get to see what happens after that. And
I figured it's based on the name of the chapter.
Yeah, it's pretty like gives it to you right away, including all of the Shana shit. You find that out pretty quickly. But so far, every person is just like accepting of all of the weird magical shit that happens around her, and she's just like, whatever.
It's like, all right, how it is.
This is my life, I guess.
It do be like that sometimes.
Yeah. So the game starts, and my absolute favorite part about this game happens, and it's the seamless, pretty much, use of pre-rendered and not pre-rendered graphics, and like it's just so freaking pretty. Without having looked at Final Fantasy IX in like the recent couple of days, it feels like Final Fantasy IX levels of just like mastered the art of pre-rendered graphics and non-pre-rendered graphics together, and it's beautiful. But we start out looking over this valley, and there's this a weird giant praying mantis, weird looking alien thing, and then thankfully this girl in purple armor shows up, and she's like, the green tusked dragon, Fairbrand. And I'm like, oh, that's a dragon?
Yeah,
that's what a dragon looks like.
Okay.
So not only are dragoons not guns on horseback, they're also not even related to normal dragons. So
this game is, I just realized, so this game I'm noticing has a number of things in common with one of my favorite games, Chrono Cross. Mm-hmm. I just realized another thing it has in common with Chrono Cross is that dragon is a pretty loosely defined term that pretty much just means big, scary god monster thing.
Yeah.
In Chrono Cross, there's 6 dragons, and I will say they all look a little bit more like dragons. They all like fly in general and have some sort of wings, but like still, it's like you're really trying to the definition of dragon here.
Yeah, they're dragons only in name, pretty much.
Dragons metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, I'm not certain on all of them, just trying to think back, but I think there's like 2 normal ass dragons in the whole game. But so then the girl in purple like jumps like hopscotch down this whole mountain because she's a badass, and I love her so much, and I'm so excited that the game starts on her, but we don't get to see her for another 4 hours. So then we get our Majora's Mask style title card that just pops up and says Chapter 1, Serdian War, and it's really cool. I did realize like yesterday that this game is episodic, and I feel we don't actually start on episode 1, which is kind of cool. Like we kind of like Dart's. Like, we're about to meet Dart, and he talks about how he's had this whole revenge quest for 5 years, and this is the episode in which he becomes the Dragoon, but it doesn't feel like the beginning of anybody's story. It kind of feels like we're playing catch-up the whole time, which is kind of
like with Xenogears ending with Xenogears Part 5.
Part 5.
Like, what? Okay, where are the other 4? But, alright.
Yeah, I gotta say, speaking of Serdian War, this game, I have one. This is a minor criticism, but I do feel it very strongly in my heart.
Yeah.
They're just really bad at naming things. I hate the name of everything in this game.
Oh, absolutely.
I hate the names of the main characters. I hate the names of the countries. I hate the names of the towns. Serdian War, like Serdian.
They keep putting D's in places where D's don't
They're
belong.
just like, what if Serbian, but with a D?
Yeah. See, that's what I was talking about in Discord.
Yeah. Yeah, and Dole. And
I've been calling him Billy Dole.
Oh god, and even basil. Yeah, I know basil is an actual word, but that's Dacil from Xenogears. But they turned it. Oh, that's the opposite though. They turned that one back into a B. And I just every time they say the name of something, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm not going to remember that.
The name of the country is Endiness, and I'm just like, wait, that's such a weird name.
I'm just like, no matter how good this game is, I'm not going to remember that.
The state of something being at an end, it's endiness.
Yeah. Like, compare with, like, I don't know, Squall Leonhardt. Now, that's a name you're going to remember the second you fucking see it.
Yeah.
You know?
I've never played that game, and I know Squall Leonhardt.
Or, like, any word that Bungie makes up for any reason.
Mm-hmm.
like any spaceship in a Halo game. You know, like they're so good at naming shit. Anyway, it's a pretty minor issue. It doesn't matter, but yeah, gosh, this game sure has some words in it.
And don't worry. For the most part, all of the words that you have the biggest gripe with are just like in Xenogears. It's like if it's not related to Faye or Ellie, it's not important. So
Okay, cool.
like Dart, Shana, and Lavitz and Albert are kind of the only important players that we meet this time that continue into Chapter 2.
Right.
It's
Well, that's the thing, because since the chapter's called Serdian War, all the stuff about the Serdian War that they explain the details of, I was like, well, this isn't going to matter in Chapter 2.
Yeah. What if Chapter 2 is called More Serdian War?
No! Turns out it's the whole game. We just called the first chapter that for some reason.
The whole game is the first chapter.
Yeah. Whoa. So we see Dart, our spiky-headed protagonist, and he's reading a newspaper about the war, and he's just like, hope it's just a rumor.
I gotta admit,
there's war on.
I gotta admit, and I apologize for this, but I've been calling him Discount Cloud Strife.
Oh, that's kind of where he slides in. But
That's what I thought, but then I saw his flashback of him as a child and realized, wait, no, he's Discount Naruto.
yeah.
He looks like Naruto and he's a baddie.
I do love him. I do love him. So.
He's great. And like compared to Cloud, like Dart kind of has like his head on his shoulders. He's oblivious to the fact that Shana could ever like him, as we'll see over this playthrough. But he slots more into an anime protagonist, like a children's anime, like a Digimon master type thing.
Yeah, he's like, let's go, guys!
Yeah, he slots into that role way more than the broody, angsty guy, even though, like, Cloud was broody and angsty because reasons. Dart is not broody and angsty because he saw his parents get murdered in front of him, but whatever.
Yeah, like, you think he would be?
Yeah.
It's funny.
Some people just have a way of staying upbeat in spite of the worst circumstances.
And maybe Legend of Dragoon Part 1, for the 5-year revenge quest, maybe that one would have had all of him being angsty and broody.
Yeah, he already had his big character development where he got over his shit. Like, he dealt with it.
Yeah. But, so, he's like, man, I hope it's a rumor, and that he hears hooves or claws or whatever the fuck these weird anteater horses have, and so he runs out to see him, and there's a bunch of soldiers passing by, and two of them stop him and are like, hey, are you a mercenary from Basil? And he doesn't answer them, and just be like, no, what's going on? He's just like, well, them's fighting words, I guess, and pulls out his sword to fight him. And like, he literally has no lines. Everyone's just like, okay, well, I guess you are a mercenary because you pulled out your sword. You could have gotten away with this and gone and checked on your town, but I guess you'll fight.
It's like, he should have been like, are you planning to kill a mercenary from Basil, or are you here to be friends with a mercenary from Basil?
But before he can do anything, Fairbrand shows up and scares the soldiers away. So Dart stands to fight it and realizes that you don't get to fight it till the end of this disc. So he runs away, and this scene is super dope. He's like running and jumping over pre-rendered rocks, and Fairbrand is throwing post-rendered like trees and stuff at him that he's also jumping over, and it's like seamless between the two. It's just
it's tight.
This intro is just like so good at showing off like, hey, this game is going to be really pretty, so even if the next town you go to is going to be 3 people standing around and not doing anything, trust me that like we got some pretty shit coming at your way.
Also, this game really likes to have scenes where 3D objects, a bunch of 3D objects fly in from off screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That happens like 5 times this week.
Yeah. It doesn't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah, so he's jumping over everything, and then the purple girl from the beginning jumps in and saves him, and she tells Dart, like, hey, that big thing's a dragon, don't die. And she's like, but it's so weird because this village is so small, why would they send a dragon to destroy it? And Dart's like, what do you mean, village? You mean my village? And,
you mean my dad?
Village, you mean my hometown? And so he runs off, and then the girl pulls out something, and it glows bright purple, and she goes, "Oh my god!" Question mark, exclamation point. And so then Dart comes over this rise, and they do this trick like 3 or 4 times in the game, and I love it every time, where you're cresting a hill, so you have like a foreground pre-rendered and then a background pre-rendered.
It's like a parallax thing.
Yeah, and it's so good. And so he crests that hill and says one of my favorite lines in the game. There's 2 of them that are really good this playthrough, but this one's one of my favorite because he just goes, "Oh no!" Exclamation point! Exclamation point! My God! Exclamation point! Instead of, it's just like, "Oh God, no! Oh God! Oh my God!" Any of these are right, and they found a way to use these 4 words in the wrong order, and it was great. So now we finally get to play for half a second, and we run into Celeste, the town, and some soldier of Imperial... Oh, I see what I did in my notes. I put dashes around soldier of Imperial Sindora. But,
I've been doing that too. So funny.
So we run into Celeste, and some soldier of Imperial Sandoras are hanging around and kicking old men, and Dart doesn't like that, so he jumps in to stop them, and we first get our first little taste of the battle system. And what did you guys think of it just throwing additions at you before you get to the addition tutorial?
It was a little confusing.
Yeah, especially the timing of additions, like even on original hardware on a CRT where I first played this game, isn't quite right, and you just kind of got to get a feel for it, and all of the on-screen helpers do not help you on screen.
Yeah. I feel like here's how I work with it. It's like, you're supposed to hit the button when the thing overlaps the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you actually do that, it doesn't really work. You're usually too slow.
Yeah.
But if you try to preempt it, you're too fast. So what I do is, when it's about halfway there, is when I start thinking about hitting the button.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do that, then I usually hit the button by around the right time. I'm like, all right, time to start hitting the button. And then I end up hitting it, sometime maybe before it actually... But it goes really fast. So, I couldn't really tell you if the timing's actually off or not. Like, I don't know if I'm actually hitting the button right when it overlaps or not, because, it goes really fast.
Yeah.
But, it feels like it's off, but I also feel like I've got a... It's got a heavy little, kind of a heavy chunk to it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When we get
nice.
more characters that fight with Rose, you didn't really get a user at all this time, but she fights with a rapier, so a lot of her stuff is really fast, and it still feels chunky. So I think it's some sort of weighty, timey thingy jigger going on. But yeah. So after the battle, the old guy says that Sindora invaded anyways, despite the truce that had been in place for a while, and he says that Shana's been captured and asks Dart to save her. And then we get to save, and we get to hear the best track in the game, the pause menu music.
Yes.
And it's so good.
It is good.
It's actually kind of funny. I feel like pause menu music was the wrong choice for this game, which is to say, having it at all.
Yeah.
Because, a game needs pause menu music when you spend long amounts of time in the pause menu.
Yeah, and you're almost not in the pause menu at all.
In this game, you're only in the menu for 5 fucking seconds, and that's just 5 seconds where you have to stop hearing the great music you were already hearing, hear 5 seconds of pause menu music, and then go back to the original track, which is now starting over because you paused for 2 seconds. But, so, I don't feel like this game should have pause music, but also it is,
the best track in the game.
Track.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about as good as Final Fantasy XV's pause music, which is also stupid good.
So good.
The best track in the game. So yeah, it's weird, it's funny.
Yeah, so on our next screen we see Plos, the mayor. He's not important. He's just alive, so you can tell us our first quest. He says that Shana has been kidnapped because we weren't there because we've been on our revenge quest. Dart asks what they wanted, but then the armor dude from the intro cutscene shows up to fight us, and he tells us that Shana is in Helena prison, And he's like, but don't worry, I'll let you follow them, though not to Helena, to hell. And it's so good.
It's good line.
Pretty good.
Like this,
I was like, you've been workshopping that one, haven't you?
yeah. There's a couple like because when I started the playthrough, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of weird things that I think are trying to give everybody like an affectation because it's so pervasive and it doesn't feel like translation mistakes. But now that I'm playing it, I'm like, it's probably like half and half. They're trying to make people sound like medieval, but then also can't translate their own jokes very well. And it makes like most of the like I'll go through a scene and stumble over all of the words, and then I'll tell it to Summer, and I'll like just improvise better localization on the spot. So it's like they're so close, but it's off and weird and oh no, my god.
Yeah, it's kind of like bargain bin Alexander O. Smith. That's the guy who did Vagrant Story. I feel like here's what I bet it is, honestly, because this is a very like big budget major game by like Sony, right?
Yeah, this was Sony was like, we're tired of giving Square money to make us a Final Fantasy. We're going to make our own Final Fantasy and spend a lot of money on it.
I feel like it's probably this. Even though they had lots of money to throw at it, they didn't have, I don't know, the experience of having done this like 10 times already. Because, I don't know if you ever read much about it, but the localization process of FF7 was like a nightmare. Like, really? And the reason why that translation is so poor is because like the Japanese developers of the game just did a really bad job of like documenting the game script, and it was like stored for, I'm gonna get the details wrong, but if you read about it, there's been some good reporting done on it, and it was just like, when the localizers got the script, they didn't know, like, it was basically like just a text dump of all this text with like no context, you know? And like, so the point is you have to have a lot of support to do good localization. It's not like translating a book where you just have the book from start to finish, although even translating a book, of course, is not easy. But with a game, a non-linear video game, it's like, I think in many ways a lot harder, and also like you have to be able to maybe like you have to have enough time to like, maybe you're translating a line but you're not really sure what is going on with it, so you might want to like ask someone from the development team like, hey, what's going on in this scene, you know, and they can tell you, right? So the thing is though, even Square, who had made FF4 and 4 and 6 and 7, like even they did not actually have their shit together when it comes to like development pipeline until FF8. So I think with Legends of Dragoon, they probably just didn't have the experience of knowing what the right way to go about it was, probably. So no matter how good no matter how good of a team they hired, they just couldn't do as good of a job because they didn't. It was like they didn't know all the best practices. Yeah, and that's all just guessing. But that is my guess for why a game made this late in the PlayStation's life cycle by such a large company could have such a fucking weird localization. Yeah,
it at least stays away from all of the like bad localization tropes, which is why I think that it's a choice for a lot of it. But then it also has just like the dumbest fucking wording, and maybe it's the translators and everything, they did a good job, but the writer that they got to do the actual localization process is a bad writer. So
yeah, I think that might be it. Maybe it's like it's not bad translation, it's just bad writing. Yeah.
But yeah, so when you beat the guy, Plos is like, go get Shana. There are enough people alive to keep things going, and I don't believe him. And then Dart says after everything is...
has like 2 people.
Dart says after everything is over, he'll be back, and I don't believe him either. I know
one does not simply return to one's destroyed hometown.
I know what putting in disc 1 of 4 means on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
So on your way out, you can talk to your homeboy Taskman, who I love his name because it's good. But
I feel like he programs, I feel like he's going to show up at GDQ.
Yeah, that's why he gives you the tutorial for when to press the buttons, because Tasses always know when to press the buttons.
That's great.
But yeah, he teaches you about counterattacking, which is cool because you aren't told it at all until like the end of this disc. Like, it doesn't become like a big deal. And well, I guess in the Kongol fight, it's like a big deal.
Yeah.
But before that, you probably were just using double slash and will get your ass kicked. So it's very good that this guy's here. I never talked to him before, but I managed to talk to him this time and be like, oh, this would have been great the 5 other times that I played this game. But,
wow, Sam.
Yeah. So, yeah, then the first of the most bullshit side quest items in history, besides maybe the red gems from Illusion of Gaia. The first one's in this town. You missed it. I guarantee it. You probably...
Is it the fucking Stardust or whatever?
Yeah, you might have found one Stardust. The total we should have at this point is 9. Don't worry about going and getting it. You get items for every 10 you turn in, but there's 50 total, and only if you get all 50 do you get the bonus side quest, which I'll talk about the boss if it has any important plot stuff when we get to it in disc 4. But it's stupid, it's bullshit. I have never done it before, and one of the things I wanted to do with this playthrough for the podcast is do a 100% run, because I never have. And most of that reasoning is because Stardust they're not even in like important parts, and it's not like everything gives you like feedback like we were talking about in Sailor Moon, but like some things do, but not everything. So you don't feel like you should be touching on everything at all. And so like this first one is on one of the 10 tombstones, and all of them just say like,
oh my
it's
God.
it's a tombstone.
I read like 3 of those tombstones just to make sure, and after the third one said the exact same thing, I was like, okay, I guess they all say the same thing.
Yeah.
I'll stop talking to the tombstone.
Yeah, I think I did something similar.
Yeah, and then one of them
they should have made them all say something different. That way, when I talk
exactly. But it's so bullshit. It's probably the worst designed part of this game.
Yeah,
thankfully,
it's not something that I would have known without a guide, and I only pulled up a guide once I got to the fucking town with Incel Castle.
Yeah.
Sorry, Indel Castle.
Yeah.
Are these are these missable?
So none of them are missable, which is cool, because like here in a second we go to Helena prison for our first of 2 times, the second time in which we burn it to the ground, if I remember correctly, and that would definitely be a missable, but so they don't put any in there. Like most of them are in towns or in places you can go to, but this Celeste, there's only one way in and out of it, and it's on the far east side of the map. So if you get to the end and you have 49 and you look up where are all of the things, and it's like, oh, there's one in Celeste, you have to backtrack all the way. God. And backtracking, as I was going to get to here in a second, is shitty in this game, and so you have to backtrack through the entire game to come back and go to this one place. So it's not missable, but they're practically missable. It's incredibly inefficient to not grab them as you go.
Yeah. God, so, I think I have like 2.
Yeah. They suck so bad. But yeah, so yeah, after you leave the town, we see an establishing shot of Helena prison, and some guard pushes the girl from the intro into a jail cell. It tells you that this girl is Shana way too late. It's Shana. I'm not going to keep saying the girl from the intro and then also say Dart is looking for Shana and do the reveal like the game does, but it's pretty obvious. So
like what? It's the girl.
Yeah,
like, come on, girl in game.
Yeah, and so then we see Dorgan Goa at his day job, and
I love this guy.
He's great. He's talking to the cloaked man from the beginning, and he asks again who the girl is, and Clokey says that the future rests on her, and Frugal is mad that Clokey is giving orders and is above him on the evil bloke's social ladder, and so he goes to leave and just casually throws the soldier off the bridge. And he's great. It's like a totally low key thing. He's just like walking by, and literally like his 3D model just goes and knocks his 3D model off, and he goes and he falls down, and I laughed a whole lot at that. And it happens like 7 times before we're done with this dungeon. And it's great.
Yeah. So many people get chucked off into oblivion.
You'd think eventually the mooks would, like, stop standing near him.
Yeah, or near open pits.
Yeah. Like, it's like, he's like, hey, come over here. And he's like, how about we both go over here in this area with no pits, and then I'll talk to you about what you want to talk about.
Yeah. So we get back control of Dart on the world map, which is like a Mario Party board, for lack of a better visual descriptor, and it's like really cool because if you press select or R1 or something like that, you can zoom out and see it. Like, it's like in universe or whatever, the representation is like the huge like framed maps that they like will put their little doohickeys on for like war meetings way back in the day. And so it's like cool in that regard, except you can't walk around dungeons, so if you need to go back through it, you just gotta walk through it, which is annoying. But for the most part, the game is linear. There's one part that I don't know if it's a side quest. Like, I don't know if that's skippable or if you have to do it by the end. That requires you to backtrack through a lot of things. But I know I always get it the moment you can, which does require a lot of backtracking. But so I've always run into that grossness. But yeah, so we get into the forest, which is our first not dungeon of this game. There's a bunch of, like, kind of like how Skyward Sword is, like, you have your outside bits that aren't dungeons, but they feel like dungeons, and then you have your inside bits that feel more like dungeons and are more dungeony. This game has the same thing. Like, all of your outside areas, you still will have puzzles to figure out and chests to find and things to explore like a dungeon, but it's like a hallway with two puzzles instead of like a sprawling complex of stuff to do. But this dungeon, its puzzle is it's kind of like a Lost Woods type maze, but it's like almost linear and it's pretty easy to get through. And
I really liked how I was like, seriously, like, what could be more cliche? Like, we just played Xenogears and ragged on Xenogears for this. Like, really? The first dungeon is a forest, you know? But it was like, instead of being like a deep, dark forest, it was like a nice, chill forest.
Which has really, really good music as well. One of my favorite tracks in the game.
It was like brightly lit and fun. It's like the forest doesn't even know that your town just got destroyed.
Yeah.
It was good shit.
Yeah. And so one thing we see here is that random battles are, first off, have a really, really, really low encounter rate, which is great.
Yeah.
But the cursor above that shows you where your character is, because we'll get some super zoomed out shots later, which is so cool. But the cursor starts blue, turns yellow, and then turns red when you're about to get into a battle, which is...
Definitely did not notice that.
Oh, I didn't notice that either.
Yeah, it's super cool. Yeah. And then when you get, and like they do that to be another bit of storytelling, because like this game is just good on tiny bits. Like macro, I can probably say the game is not as good as I remember, but micro, it does all these cool little things. So in Hell in a Prison, you're breaking in to a place that doesn't have random battles, but Dart is not safe while he's there. So thematically, instead of there are no random battles, give him a blue thingy, they give him a red one.
It's red all the time.
Yeah. So you're not actually ever close to a random battle, but you're not safe.
So the triangle is like his spidey sense.
Yeah, that's his spidey sense, and it's going off, which is so cool.
Like, he's walking on the forest and he's like, I feel like a monster's about to jump.
Well, he's a Dragoon. He's a Dragoon, so it's his draggy sense.
This is draggy sense.
There we go.
So at the end of the forest, we see...
Draggy sense is this,
RuPaul's Drag Race.
No, who's that YouTube lady? ContraPoint?
Oh, yeah.
But
ContraPoint was just on Chapo. It was a great episode.
Oh, nice. But yeah, at the end of the forest, we see a unicorn dog, which reminds us of when we were little and we protected Shana from the unicorn dog. And then he promises he's going to protect her once more. And so then we get to Helena Prison, and we do the classic hop on a cart and distract a guard, except the guard is really bad at his job. No wonder he probably gets thrown off of the balcony later.
Seriously, also incompetent.
Yeah, because he comes up and he's like, let me check. And so Dart's like, oh, gotta hide. So he ducks around, like, not even all the way around the corner where the guard is. The guard comes right next to Dart, like, peers into the cart, is like, there's probably not a human hiding in here. I've looked at one of the 4 sides of this cart. Let them go on ahead.
My job is done.
I've done the bare minimum.
Yeah. So
I mean, I get it.
Yeah. So it's just like so many times when I was working in El Paso, there's so many like border stops, and like half the time they just were like, you look white enough, just go by. I don't care. I don't want to do my job today.
Yeah.
And so now we get into our first actual dungeon. And what did you guys think of Helena Prison as your first real dungeon?
It was really interesting. I felt like it was easy to get lost, but I somehow kept taking the correct routes. Like, it felt like I wanted to go around and find items, but then I would, accidentally take the correct route to somewhere. And
you're like, damn it, I wanted to find out.
Yeah. Like, so now I don't know how to get back to go find that item that I saw up on a ledge. And then there were times where, like, you would get into this big kind of circular area, like it would be curved around. So you were only seeing like a quarter or a third of what was apparently a circular room.
Cooking bitch realized what was going on there.
Yeah, so I went around like 3 or 4 times in a circle before realizing I'm going in a fucking circle.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, this hallway's going on forever. Yeah.
This is Hallway Simulator.
So this first part of the game I've played like 8 times-ish. I've had quite a few false starts with this game, and I still, this time around, walked about 4 or 5 times in a circle.
Yep. Yeah, this game's got good-ass dungeons. They're not, so it's very interesting going from Xenogears to this game, because this game is made in the much more common JRPG style of the time, which is pre-rendered backgrounds. But, like, Xenogears does so much with its 3D and with its world and with sucking you into these dense 3D thick environments that going back to a game that's just running around on a pretty picture, it feels so lightweight, but I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah.
It's just like you don't have to put in as much effort.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to like rotate your camera or anything.
Yeah.
And it's nice. It's nice to be able to just like go through area very quickly. And I like how when you press the button, it shows arrows over your dude's head and over the exits. When FF7 did that, what I used to think with FF7, for example, that if you have to have indicators showing where shit is, that's because your backgrounds aren't drawn very well. Like it should be clear where things are without having to like lay a UI over it. And I still feel that way basically. But I like how in this game the UI only shows where you are and where exits are. It doesn't show like where chests are or where interactable objects are. So you still do have to pay attention to the environment. You can't just look at the icons.
Yeah.
You know, which is nice because if I was just scanning for the little chest symbol, that wouldn't be very fun at all. I wouldn't feel like I was in a real environment. I'd feel like I was just looting a checklist.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like no, you have to look at the place, and every room almost has some kind of little thing to it. You know, we'll see that even more in the cave dungeon. But like every room's got something going on, but it's not like a ton. It's not like a huge amount of effort. It's just like, oh, in this room, all the guards walk in a clockwise motion. So if I walk in this way, they won't see me. Oh, in this room, I have to activate a thingy. Oh, in this room, you know, there's a little bit of timing and there's like an overpass or whatever. And it's just like, none of it's like hard, but every screen they have some little thing to make it a little bit more engaging than just running around.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
It's like Final Fantasy Fantasy 9, where it's secretly a hallway. It's just a crumpled hallway, so you can't tell that you're just walking from place to place. But each room gives you more to do than in Final Fantasy 9. Final Fantasy 9, there's a lot where it's just like a literal hallway, where it's like, oh, climb this tree. There's no puzzles. There's no optional chests. Just climb this tree and fight random battles along the way. This one, like... Eli, the reason why you couldn't find how to get to those other things and you took the right way is because there was really only one right way to go at any given time, and you come to this dungeon twice, and so you were seeing the stuff from the second half of the dungeon.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, because there was also a part where it was like, there were like groups of 3 guards at 2 different doorways, and every time I would go up to them, they're like, it's heavily guarded, and I'm like, I could take those 3 guys on.
It's 3 fucking guards.
Right?
Come on.
Yeah.
My kill count is currently like 25. Let me get past these 3 guards.
My KD ratio is off the charts, y'all.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else before we move on?
Oh, I was just gonna say again, not to dunk on the game. I'm enjoying the game a whole lot, but I do think, as a huge lover of Final Fantasy 9 and 8, earlier you were like, "Oh yeah, you feel like it's on that level technologically." I don't think so. It's not. I feel like it's like not technologically, like it looks great, but I feel like design wise, it actually reminds me mostly of FF7. Like, think of how many shots are super, super zoomed out and have that sort of top bird's eye view. Like, that's an FF7 thing.
There's surprisingly few of those. Like, I might be thinking of the game at large, and so I can't see the tiny bit here. But for Final Fantasy VII, for instance, the town will be a large, like, vertical pre-rendered thing that's kind of like in the Japanese old painting perspective, where like it's not quite isometric, but there's no like depth to it, so that you don't have to adjust your camera as you walk up and down. And this game doesn't have anything like that. Like, you have main screens, and they might be zoomed out, but very few of them are like, here's the whole town sort of thing. So it's probably,
I guess that's true.
It's
but I'm
probably
thinking of like
in between them.
Yeah,
because I know that Final Fantasy VII never had any of this double parallax and walking in and under things. And
that's more advanced. But I'm thinking of like later when we get to Incel Castle. The whole castle is like sort of a top down. It's almost designed like a 2D Dragon Quest castle, but in just the idea of like, oh, you're above and you see into the ruins from above. Like it reminds me more of like, because FF8 and 9 both had this super advanced, insanely high budget, like cinematic style where like a quote unquote, like most of the screens are very zoomed in and you go through the screens very quickly.
Yeah.
Like your given town in FF9 is probably like 20 screens.
Yeah.
You know, whereas in FF7 and also in this game, I think your given area is like, 10 screens max, maybe, because they're more zoomed out, they're a little more intricate. But it's cool though. It's like you took FF7 style and then just made it better. You developed on it. Whereas you didn't divert yourself into a different style. The FF7, FF8, FF9, Parasite Eve, I think that's a very different kind of style. So it's cool. It's like this doesn't feel like a modern cutting edge PS1 RPG. It feels like a late SNES, early PS1 RPG, but with way better graphics. Which is cool. Yeah.
And I will say that, like, Bale, when we get there, it does have like 35 screens, and that's what I'm remembering. Most of those are part of the side quests that get you a Stardust that you probably didn't do, and so you probably were like, oh, this is the screen with all the shops, this is the screen of the castle, these are the 3 floors of the castle that are laid out pretty basic, and those are all fairly basic. But then like you go under the town through the sewers to talk to this hobo, to get on this boat to go under all of these things, and it's which like still falls into the like done better but still kind of Final Fantasy 7-ish style. It's definitely between 7 and 9, but it's real good. I really like it. But anywho, halfway through the dungeon, we see some guards that are telling these prisoners of wars to hurry up and get to their cells, but instead they feed them to a rancor. And
Yep.
our boy Lavitz, our truest son, he shows up to save the day single-handedly. And after Lavitz takes care of most of it, and then all of the POWs die, Dart finally decides to jump in and help. And my favorite thing is not like, hey, like, let's work together, or hey, I got your back, or anything like that on how to, like, I'm going to come in and help you, Lavitz. He goes, is this Civil War? Which is, there's so many good stupid lines in this game.
Well, he looks around and he's like, wow, we got Iron Man, we got Captain America, we got Black Panther, we got Black Widow. Damn, is this Civil War?
So after a...
Stan Lee makes a cameo.
Yeah. After a short battle, Lavitz introduces himself as a Knight of Basil, and Dart says that he's here to rescue Shana. Oh, this was one thing I wanted to mention. So I say half and half between Legend of Dragoon and Legend of Dragoon. It is technically Dragoon, but I'm from the South, and schwa sounds just take over every vowel. So
it's true.
Like Dragoon. I'm saying it right in my head at least. But
us Texans love our vowel declensions. Like, why would you want to put in more effort? You know?
Yeah. And Lavitz is the same way. His name is a weird transliteration of his last name, except everywhere I've been looking says that that's not true, but I remember his name being Lambert and not Slambert, but Slambert is better. So
fucking Slambert.
Yeah.
Come on in, Slambert, and welcome to the Jambert.
But yeah, so he introduces himself as a Knight of Basil. I thought of that because it said Basil instead of Basil, and I switched back and forth between both of those as well.
Right.
And so Dart says, hey, have you seen Shana? And Lavitz is like, well, I haven't heard of her. And Dart's like, oh, well, good luck on your saving your prisoners. I have to go find her. And Lavitz is like, no, I'll come with you, because he has an intense sexual attraction to Dart.
It's true. They are biffsies immediately.
Dart
like
and Lavitz OTP.
Like the trope is supposed to be like Battlefield Bros or whatever, but that trope itself is so toxically male that it's gay as hell.
Yeah. It's already super homoerotic. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so like every time that it's supposed to be like the battlefield has forged this friendship as you're going through it, I'm like, nah, they just sucked each other off the last scene. That's what it's so tight.
It's like, do you think love can bloom even on a battlefield?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Lavitz just is, it's like in Up, where the dog is like, I have just met you and I love you. Lavitz just really likes that like anime twink look that Dart has going on.
And so Lavitz is like, it's dangerous to go alone, take this Lavitz. And he's like, your battle skills are impressive, so I trust you. But it really all just sounds like an excuse to walk behind Dart in his tight-ass jeans.
Sure.
So
He likes that one sleeve look.
Yeah.
It's all the rage.
Yeah. I think Final Fantasy X comes out in like 6 months from this. So if he likes that one sleeve look, well, oh boy, do we have the game for him.
Wait till he meets Tidus.
Yeah.
Wow.
So one of the prisoners there says, and also all of the cells are open, but we don't help anybody get to safety or like do anything about it. We just walk in.
Like, what's up?
We're like, walk in like, hey, are you using this angel prayer? I need it. And so one of the prisoners is like, oh, there's the girl is over in the tower. So we go out to investigate, and the tower is literally right there, but it's locked. So we go to the next door for the guard tower, and there's a bunch of guards in there. None of them ever see us, and the key is literally just like on a hook right there. And I'm like, oh, so I guess we'll just take this and go and save the princess.
Cool.
I guess it wasn't that important to you. So, one thing I noted was Lavitz keeps referring to Shana as the girl called Shana, and doesn't want to admit that she's his girlfriend or anything, because he just wants Dart all to himself. But
He's like, oh, so you and Shana y'all are good friends, right?
Yeah.
I thought we could be good friends.
And so, where did I go? Yeah, so we make it to Shauna's cell, and Dart is seriously surprised, like flabbergasted that his best friend of 15 fucking years didn't forget him over the last 5 years. And he's just like, whoa. Like, you know who I am? She's like, yeah, you're Dart, like, best friend. He's like, yeah, but like, me, you know me, who I am.
It's so weird. Shana is just so clearly in love with him, and every single character notices this. And Dart is just like,
my favorite bit,
but we're both girls.
My favorite bit is later King Albert. You meet him. One of the first words he says is like, "Because you obviously know how she feels about you, right?" It's so obvious. Everyone
like
can
Albert
tell.
can pick up those vibes in like 3 fucking seconds, which makes me feel like Shana is okay. Sammy, you won't give this, but Eli, remember in Twin Peaks: The Return when Naomi Watts' character Janie E is just like giving Dougie the eyes like constantly.
Oh, yeah, and Dougie's just eating eating a piece of cake.
Like she's just looking at him like, and you can just tell like, oh my god, she's like, I've never seen a fictional character on television be like this horny before. Like that's how Shana is looking at Dart this entire game.
And Dart's just eating cake.
Dart's just like, nope.
Eating his Lavitz cake.
Dart's just like, case files. Call for help. Mr. Jackpot.
Yeah. They'd give 2 rides.
Shana give 2 rides.
So
Lavitz give 2 rides.
Oh yeah.
Anywho, so as after we break her out, we get in a fight, and Dart's like, Shana, stay back. And then after the fight, she's like, Dart, I know you've been gone for the last 5 years, but feminism is back in full force, and I don't need you anymore. So she picks up a bow and gives up all of her combat usefulness for the rest of the game. Because bows suck.
She has no additions, so...
No additions. So if you like doing 5 damage, that's what you get, because she does 5 damage. Like,
Yep.
She actually, and this was one thing I was hinting at in the Discord, she actually has the highest magic attack in the game. So what you should do is your stupidly low 32 item limit should be about 2 health potions, 2 Phoenix Down stand-ins, and the rest of them be combat items, and give them to Shana.
Yeah,
and she
I'm
just
that now. Yeah.
and then get real good at mashing and try and break 200, because like here for the boss fight in a second, she was doing like 50 damage per, and he only has like 150 HP, so it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I really like any JRPG with a small item limit for 2 reasons. 1, it just makes sense, and 2, I especially like it. I like it because this game has, like you said, doing damage. Like in Final Fantasy, if you get an item that is a consumable item that deals damage to the enemy, you're just like, well, time to never use that, because what if it is important at some point?
Yeah.
But because of the small item limit, like, it's encouraged, the game's saying, like, you need to be using these.
Yeah, like, oh, you want to pick up treasure in the next room? You better have some space, so you better use your items.
So I'm using these damage items, not even because I, like, need to, but because I would hate to have to throw it away in the next screen because there's treasure. So I'm always making sure to use them, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, these are doing great damage, and the game is constantly giving you more of them, so you're like, yeah, it's okay to do this.
Yeah.
I really like it. I think it's weird that it's a shared inventory that's limited. Usually, if you're doing the limited inventory thing, each character has their own, but whatever. It's cool.
It's super dope. So, Dart is like, but the Shana of my memory hasn't changed a bit, which, as I've said before, is the theme of this game.
Spoilers.
That's the theme of the game, is getting over that shit. So, on our way out, we're stopped by Frugal, who admits that Shana is wanted by Emperor Dole, and that he gave the order to torch the town, and Dole only wanted Shana. And Dart, understandably, is upset. So, we fight. How was this first real boss fight of the game? Which, by the way, I'm probably going to say about 3 more times for just this episode.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just gonna say it didn't seem too bad to me. I was still getting the hang of additions though, so
Yeah, the shtick of this one is he doesn't like to fight, so he sends out his mooks that you kill in like one turn. Then he sends out his stronger mooks that have more magic attacks, and they fuck you up a little more. And then you fight him, and he's actually really strong. But by that time, like, Shana had just been emptying clips of burnouts on him, and so when he finally was able to die, he died really fast. But yeah,
he threw me for a little loop because when he sent out his second mooks, I couldn't remember if they were a different. I couldn't tell. I was like, is that a different 3D model or not?
Mm-hmm.
So I was, I'm trying to be efficient. So it's like, I'll have my 2 weak characters attack one guy, and then the strong guy attack the other one. That way I'm not wasting, like, I'm not going to have Dart waste all of his damage on an enemy that I think is about to be dead anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So I tried using that strategy on the second mook set, and then I realized, wait, they're not dying. How much health do these guys have? And of course, if I'd realized that ahead of time, I would have been throwing... I was like, I'm not going to waste my firebomb on them. They don't have that much health, right? But yeah, so strategically, I didn't play it very well at all. But I still beat it on the first try.
Yeah.
I had enough healing items. Healing items are pretty cheap in this game.
Yeah.
Also, at this point, I'd picked up one or... Also, they heal by percentage, which...
means that you will never pay more than 10 cents for a potion for the rest of the
I
game.
think that's bad design, but I don't know. Xenosaga Episode 2 does it too, and it's pretty good in that game.
Yeah. I feel it's a different design, and you can't make them worth 10 cents when you do it.
Yeah.
And
what they should have done is they should have made it where they're very, very, very expensive, but you're not really intended to buy them that much because you find a lot of them.
Yeah.
The idea of constantly finding and using items and not having to rely so much on a shop-based economy, I think is a really smart idea that is cool, and some games have done that very well. That could have been a neat idea for this game, but that's not how they went. That's not where they went with it.
No. you basically find your shop and you max out all but like 4 or 5 spaces so that you can pick up some treasure, and you just load it up with healing potions and attack items. And
then you find 1 or 2 other items that heal your whole party for 50%.
Yeah.
And it's like, this shit's way OP. Also, you have a lot of health in this game, so it's like...
But, so after the fight, we all get on anteater horses and make our escape. And Lavitz, of course, has to show off. So, like, Dart and Shana, their horse just goes across the drawbridge. Lavitz, we left at the same time. There's no reason for him to be, like, 50 feet behind us. But he's 50 feet behind us so that as the drawbridge is going up, he can run and jump off of it and, like, do a kickflip in the air or whatever. And
he's trying to impress Dart.
He really is. So, after we make our escape, back in the prison, Frugal is mad and sends some dudes after us, and then Clokey says that we're all playing into the palm of his hand, which,
of course,
like, as it were, kind of a really shitty plan if your plan is for them to come in and, like, fuck up all of your shit, but...
Kill, like, half your dudes.
Yeah. So, the party makes its way out to the prairie, and Lavitz gets shot with an arrow, so we hide, and the serially inept guards can't see us. They actually think that this whole time, when they were watching us and shooting us with arrows, that it was a rabbit, and they chased the rabbit instead of us. So, since Lavitz is injured, we stop in a cabin to treat his wounds and rest. And Shauna's like, oh, don't worry, I've learned some first aid. Hint, hint, I'm a healer, though there are no healers in this game, so give me magic items. It's literally the only thing pointing you towards it if you're not comparing stats. But, and then Dart's like, Shana? Learning? That's something new. Sick burn. But, Shana says that she learned it because somebody might show up from his revenge quest at any time and need help. AKA, I've been thinking about you, Dart. Seriously, acknowledge me as a human being. I'm in love with you. Please, just look at me.
She really just wants Senpai to notice her. That's all she wants.
And,
but all he can think about is revenge.
Revenge and Lavitz. So, Dart then talks about his revenge quest and says that he was going off to kill the black monster. And Lavitz is like, hold on, met you an hour ago. What the fuck is all of this? And so Dart then says that his hometown was burned to the ground. Neat. Because his hometown's name is Neat. And
it's a town full of basement dwelling guys.
Yeah.
With no jobs and no school.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. So he says that his town was burned to the ground by the Black Monster, and after his parents got Dart to safety, they went back in the town to help because they're such good people, but then they were killed by the Black Monster, leaving Dart only with his dad's weird glowing stone to remember him by. And since we've all played JRPGs before, we know that this is going to be a magical item. You don't just find your father's memento and it not be important.
Yep.
So Lavitz is like, I haven't heard of Neat, and Dart is like, damn, it was only 18 years ago, and my hometown's now forgotten. Oh well, tell me about your war.
Yeah, so the characters in this world don't seem to know a lot about the world in which they live. It's like, how do you not know about the war that is happening?
Yeah.
Where in the country where you live?
Well, he does say that Neat was in a different country, and he's just returning from that quest at the beginning. So, like, him not knowing about the war is okay. The lead knight, like, of this entire country should kind of be privy to more information, especially when you're 40. It's not like you're like Lavitz is the old character. He doesn't look it, but he's way older than Dart is. He should definitely know like towns in other countries. It's kind of should be his job, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing I did notice, and I think it, as a grown-up, it's making Dart's blasé-ness about his whole revenge quest make more sense. And I feel it'll be important when, like, as you can probably guess by him having a revenge quest in which he got his Dragoon Stone, like, that will come up again. And when it comes up, he handles it in, like, a way different way than, like, anybody would. And I feel I understand that instead of it just being bad writing, because the other day, I shared at work that I had lost Sebastian, and this guy comes up to me afterwards and wants to be there for me, but I was there 3 years ago. I'm not there anymore. So I was like annoyed at him being like, well, if you need anything, and like, how could you ever get over that? And so I like had to slip into my explanation stance where I was like, yeah, it was like hard for 6 months, but then one day it got better, and I got better by writing the song and blah, 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 and all of this, and I'm okay now. Even when you get to the I'm okay now, everyone's still just like, yeah, but that sounds like really hard. And it's like this annoying thing, and you just want to like get back to being normal, like as soon as you can in the conversation. And I feel Dart's the same way. It's like, yeah, like this happened to me 18 years ago. I spent 5 years dealing with my feelings, and now I'm coming home. Like, your problems are kind of here and now. My problems happened 18 years ago. Let's kind of focus on the present and stop trying to feel sorry for me about this whole Black Monster thing. And
he's like, it's fine, we're done. Like, I'm over it. It's chill. Don't worry. Like, I mean, he's not over it. He's definitely still on a revenge quest, even as we speak.
Yeah,
but you know,
but yeah, he's just like my revenge quest can sit in the background. I have other shit to do right now, and yeah. So Lavitz tells us about the war, and Basil and Sandora are two territories inside the continent of Indoness, and after a decades-long truce, they're fighting for control of Serdio, which is the country on their part of the continent of Indoness, and things were stable until Sandora got a fucking dragon, and so now Basil is losing real hard, and my favorite that like they changed, because like the reason that Solid Snake only repeats things in a question is because that's the Japanese type thing. I think we talked about it like a couple of things episodes ago. And so to get around that, because you don't do it in English, like you change what they say, but just like give them like make them say it in more sentences or whatever. So they do that here, but it's dumb. And so Lavitz is like, yeah, they got this fucking dragon, and now we're losing hard. And Dart's like, you mean even more casualties? And Lavitz looks at him and is like, yeah, it's a war. Duh. That's what we're losing the war means. But Lavitz is like, yeah, I need to go report the dragon's movements to King Albert, so you should come with me, because the minister is an old guy, and old guys always know shit about black monsters. So we head up towards Bale.
Oh yeah, just ask my grandpa about FBI crime stats.
Yeah. And the prairie music, by the way, which we finally get to hear on the second half of this quote-unquote dungeon. The puzzle's super easy. You just find an axe and cut down a tree, and you make it through the dungeon.
Yep.
But the music for the prairie is super good, and you get to hear it now that you're not being chased by bad guys, and it's great.
Real quick, in this scene, this isn't an important plot line, but a great instance of extremely weird passive voice writing. Dart sharing his story from the opening cutscene of the game, and he goes, "I was swooped down on by a dragon before I injured Celis."
I was swooped down on.
Also, that sounds vaguely sexual.
He's
swooped down on.
In the famous words of Rose from later, "Are you seducing me?" I've sent that screenshot to Summer about like 50 times since I played this week. But we'll get there. So on the way out, we meet some Sandoran refugees, and they're like, "Lavitz, you killed my family." And Lavitz is like, we're kind of losing the war here. Your guys are the bad guys. But you should definitely come and live in my house with me and my mom, since you have no place to live. And he's the only good person in video games. I love him so much. So after we leave, we get to our second true dungeon, the Limestone Cave. And what did you guys think about this dungeon?
Wasn't too bad.
It's got a water slide in it.
It's got a water slide maze in it.
It does have a water slide maze.
That part owns. I love it.
Cool.
Once again, every screen has some dumb weird thing in it, and it's nice.
Yeah. Did you do the almost side quest bit with the mouse?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So if you
it was funny. At first I thought there was a trick to it, like there was a puzzle, like I had to get him to go a certain way, and then I realized, oh no, I'd have to go fast.
Yeah, just go fast and you'll catch him and get a poison ring that is really important for the boss fight. So you're just like, hey, healer, don't die, have a poison ring.
Oh,
but.
Well,
yeah, that would have been cool, except that I equipped it on the person that kept not getting attacked, and I beat the boss fight on my first try anyway, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
It would have been nice.
I don't remember if I caught a mouse.
Yeah, so it's the screen where you're looking like extremely aerial, and there's like stepping stones, but like on two different levels. And so the first time you go in, you see the mouse jumping below you. You can go around the bottom and catch the mouse on the bottom, and the mouse will leave a treasure chest which has the poison ring in it.
Oh, okay. I think I missed it.
It's not that big of a deal. You can buy one in Basil or Bale if you really want to. But yeah, so there's not a whole lot of plot that happens through the dungeon. There's one bit of character building in the middle where they're like, oh, it's stepping stones, even though we've done stepping stones in the entire party takes place in Dart's body thing. They're like, well, this is someone you have to split up for some reason.
This time it's a cutscene.
But what's cool is so this one is a maze, and your party members will stop and wait for you to get back on the truest path. They're just like, look, we know the way to go. Dart's getting that fucking treasure chest. So just wait for him. He'll come back. And
Dart goes the wrong way, and they're like, we're not following him that way.
And so you make your way through it, and then at the end, Lavitz slips and starts to fall off. So Dart saves him, and Lavitz is like, "You're my knight in shining armor, Dartcoon." and then Lavitz says, "It'll be a long relationship we'll have." And Dart's like, "Yep, that's right." And they're boyfriend girlfriend now.
Yep.
And so then at the end of the dungeon, we come across some fireflies that heals us, and Dart belittles Shana for not knowing anything. But the main important part is of this scene, only reason I included it, is that Lavitz tells Dart that he should treat her like a real woman, like his mom, who always loves him and greets him with a smile. And Lavitz being a mommy's boy is the best because he's still like amazing, 40. Yeah. And then when you actually meet his mom is like an extremely mom, and it's good. They're so great.
Yeah.
But Then we fight a giant snake called Ouroboros, just like in Xenogears. And I was like, well, maybe it's like a common spelling, like obfuscation of Ouroboros. Like maybe it's, let me look it up. And literally the only two games that spell it like this are Xenogears and Legend of Dragoon. So
Awesome.
yeah. But, how was this boss fight for you guys? This was the first boss fight I died on as a kid. And this is where the game got hard, but I sucked, so it wasn't actually hard.
It was trivial. I mean, it just does the thing where sometimes you can't hit him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he goes away, and it's like, oh, I can't hit him right with my physical attackers, so I'll just... But that's nice, because in this game, defending restores your fucking health.
Yeah.
Which is
so
really
good.
OP.
Yeah.
So when the bad guy's like, you can't get me, I'm like, fine, I'll just heal myself for 3 turns.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Yeah, it's super good.
Yeah, I figured out that Shana could still hit it when it was up in the thing.
Yeah.
And I could use.
You also cast magic.
Yeah, I used the items that do magic damage. And I found out those are awesome because all I have to do is fucking spam a button and it does insane damage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great. I typically get around 230. I do the thing where, like, if you, like, tense all your muscles, you, like, shake a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I do that over the button, like, on my hand, so I'm just shaking the button over and over again, and I get up to, like, 230%, and it does, like, 75 damage, and it's great.
That's what I would do on a PlayStation controller, because that's what I do when I play Metal Gear Solid, because there's a part of Metal Gear Solid you have to mash the button.
Yeah.
But on my Vita... A, the Vita's construction's a little different, so that doesn't really work, and also B, the Vita's an expensive, high-tech piece of hardware.
You don't want to just smash.
I don't want to just smash the shit out of it with my finger, you know? Like, when the controller is also the entire console, you tend to treat it a little more delicately.
Yeah. But, so,
I can't break 190.
Yeah, this boss fight was pretty cool. The best part about it is it's the first time in the game that Dart is an anime boy badass, and you end the fight with him jumping like 15 feet in the air to slice its head off, which is so cool. And this is also, I think, our first in Battle Engine cutscene of the game.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, which this is what I was talking about when a couple weeks ago you're like, oh, I love that they just go into the battle scene so that they can use their giant robots in a cutscene. I'm like, Legend of Dragoon does it too, and they do it so good. And I was watching a Let's Play of it because I'm doing a Let's Play and playing it, and then also giving like plot breakdowns to Summer this whole time, so I'm like kind of playing it 4 times at once. But one of the Let's Plays was like, it's so annoying that they have this and when they could just do a full motion video that are so pretty. And I'm like, yeah, but this is better. Like, there's just something about seeing the characters the way that you already see them and doing the story that way and not with an FMV. That I love it so much.
Own.
Yeah. It's so
I
good.
like how the people who made this game must have played Metal Gear Solid, first of all, and realized, A, that in-game cutscenes have their own value, and also, B, they must have realized the inherent limitations of the pre-rendered background style. So I think it's cool, like, that because, like, Final Fantasy games don't do this. It's like, we want a cutscene, but we know that having it just be happening on the zoomed-out pre-rendered background wouldn't really have that much dramatic oomph. So yeah, we have this separate storytelling style where we have these 3D environments that we constructed just for the purpose of this one scene. You know, it's neat.
It's good.
That's happened happens a couple times in the game. I think it happens later when you're defending when you're defending Hoax. I think.
Yeah, there's one in Hoax that's really good, and then there's one like 3 or 4 of them every disc that are just like the emotional beats of the whole thing. FMVs really are almost always flavor or flashbacks. I think there's like one FMV that takes place like as you're looking at it, besides the intro, and the rest of it is saved for special shit. But anywho. Yeah, so in that cutscene, Shana goes to check if the snake is dead, and boy, howdy, is it not. So it rears back to attack her, and then she transforms into id and vaporizes the snake. Like, it's the same sort of, like, Super Saiyan explodey bit that Faye does.
Nice.
And she's like, what the heck? And no one else is bothered by it at all. So we just continue on and playing the game. Like, this is this is the theme of Disc 1 until you realize what the actual deal is with Shana, where everyone's like, there's a deal with Shana. Don't know what it is.
It's like, well, that happened.
So, yeah, we make our way to Bale, and its music is one of my favorite tracks in the game. Like, it's
a fantastic track.
It's such a good town thing.
Really good. Yeah, this is... I'm loving this music less than Sam does. Mostly because I still like most of it a lot, but this track, I was like, okay, yeah, no, this soundtrack, oh.
Yeah, like there's a lot of tracks here at the beginning that like I love, but I can tell they're just like basic, but Bale is one of, like, when I was thinking of the Legend of Dragoon soundtrack, I didn't remember most of the songs, but I could still hum the Bale theme because it's good.
Yeah, no, it whips ass.
But yeah, there are a boatload of side quests and secrets here, and none of it's missable, so you can go back if you need to explore more. But basically, every room of the castle, every house, everything has something you can interact with, which is super cool. Did you find the little girl that draws Lavis's portrait?
Oh, yeah. That was the very first house I went into.
Yeah.
That was the very first one I came to.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, but I mean, it's technically you could walk right past it. But
yeah, totally.
My favorite part about it is you get a key item and it goes into your key item slot, and you're like, oh, what is it going to do? And it does literally nothing. There's no side quest tied to it. Yeah. But when you finish the portrait, Dart looks at it and is like, isn't it a little bit too handsome? And it's good. So,
Dart's like, this portrait makes me feel something down.
This portrait puts me in the mood to do it.
No. He doesn't understand. He's like, I'm 12, and what is this? Like, this makes my parts feel tingly.
Well, I was just referencing later when he says that the fire puts him in the mood to do it.
Oh, God. What is it with this game and fireplaces? Okay, so, like, I feel like fireplaces are like this game's, like, FF6 clocks. You know? In FF6, it's like, oh, the clock's always going to have an elixir. In this, it's like, the very first fireplace I checked in this game had Stardust. And I think the second fireplace I ever checked in the game also had Stardust.
I think there's 3 fireplace Stardusts this time around.
So I'm like, why the hell are there Stardust in the fireplaces? But then I checked a bunch of other fireplaces thinking, okay, well now I'm always going to check the fireplace. And they don't always have Stardust, but they almost always, have like a line of dialogue about the fireplace just for some reason. I'm like, okay, who somebody on this game's development team was like, he's just really liked writing flavor text for fireplaces. He's like committed to the idea that has to be a thing. So I'm like, okay, you do you, man. And one of them is the best line in the entire game, which we'll get to when we get to it. I'm sure you screenshotted it.
Oh, I did. But
yeah, obviously.
Like, it might be a sort of like veiled Dart has a whole thing with fire going on because that's his inherent element, but it doesn't ever come across like that. It just comes across like we couldn't write 10 different obituaries for the tombstones, but we can write 100 different fireplace descriptions.
I mean, honestly, depending on how the game's development team goes, like, all you need is just one writer. All you need is just one guy who's just really passionate about giving fire text flavor, fire, like, and because programming wise, I'm sure it's like you just have to program a little interaction area on the pre-rendered map, like a little collision map, and say when you click on this happens. Like, it's not a ton of effort. It's just one of those things. So many little touches in video games are like, this is a wonderful thing that adds to the game, and all it took was someone wanting to do it.
Yeah.
And someone wants to do it. It's like, okay, I guess this is a thing you're going to do for like 8 man hours today.
Yeah. But it's dope. So, eventually you make it up to the throne room, where it becomes evident that Dart is Lavitz's mistress, because him and Albert are also obviously an old married couple. Yep. And everyone's just like, Your Highness, and like bending over, and Albert has like the most like not old English type talking, and he's just like, guys, just like stop all that shit, like just talk with me. I'm cool, I'm hip, I'm only like 23, just like all of you guys, like come on, like let's do this. Also, I think it's great that Dart is 23 and not 18. Like it's so different to be like in his early 20s and not a young ass chosen one. But
well, he was 18 in chapter 1 of the game. Yeah. Now he's been adventure. Yeah, he went off just like every JRPG hero. He went off on his quest at age 18. Mm-hmm. But then he did 5 years of that, so now he's 23.
Yeah. And so Albert asks if he can do anything for Dart, and Dart, like an idiot, yet again tries to take away Shana's autonomy and is like, "Can you lock her up here in the castle so she'll be safe?" Like, he does have a good point when he does it, but it's still another time when Dart just literally is clueless.
Yeah,
and
like he's not like lock her up because she's a woman and needs to be protected. He's like, literally all the bad guys are trying to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but still, he's still stupid.
Yeah, he still didn't ask if he could make decisions for her, and Albert is a good guy though, and he's like, no, besides Sandora has a fucking dragon, what good is my castle gonna do? Like, it can just raise me to the ground. And then Albert's like, besides, you do know how she feels about you, don't you? Like, he's just like, hi, just met you, would you like me to read your tea? Because here it is. But then Shauna's like, I don't care how dangerous it is if I'm with you, and Dart's was like, whatever, loser, let's just go to Hoax.
Yep.
But first he asks Minister Noish if if he knows anything about the Black Monster, and basically he says no, but then we get a mostly pointless FMV that's barely more than a I hope you don't have your sound muted moment, because the music is badass and then it's all spoken instead of reading it off the screen.
As if they were gods, Winglies ruled over all living creatures and used them as slaves. The enslaved suffered a terrible domination and injustice. Their anger turned to a flame of fury. Then a gust of wind blew throughout the lands, spreading the flame to a blazing fire. The wind was Emperor Diaz. 7 incarnations of dragons served the Emperor. Their bravery inspired people to take up arms. Thus began the Dragon Campaign. It was a harsh war. Both people and Winglies suffered countless injuries and fatalities. After a long period of suffering, it was the humans who acquired the future. The age of humans had begun.
But he's like, he said before he starts it, he says one of my favorite lines is like, all I know about the Black Monster is that it's evil and supposed to eat God, and came out about 11,000 years ago, which was during the Dragon campaign. So let me tell you that story instead.
Wait, hold on. I'm going to read the exact dialogue here because it's good. The Black Monster was a creature who disobeyed the Great Existence, and it is also known for devouring the God. So not God, the God.
Yeah,
and I'm like, so in English, if you have 2 articles, you have a and then you have the. Mm. You're not supposed to, if you use the word the, you're implying that the person you're talking to already knows what the fuck you're talking about.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, devoured a god, sure, but he devoured the god, the god.
Or just a devoured God, because then even if you don't know it, you can be like, oh, I know what like religious symbolism is or whatever, and put it through. But the God.
And after he says it, Dart goes, devouring the quote God.
It's so good. It's actually not God, which is great. This game's mythology is so not your typical, and I can't wait till we get there because it's nice. Stupid and I love it. But yeah, so he tells the set story, and 11,000 years ago, the Winglies ruled everything, and the humans were their
name for a thing.
Oh, it's so stupid. But and the humans were their slaves. As slaves are wont to do, they revolted, and they used the powers of the dragons, which was handed out by Emperor Diaz. And there was a long and hard war, but with the power of the dragons, the humans won, and the time of the humans began. And then someone comes in, tells Albert he has to go to a meeting, and so he's like, please says, "Excuse me, Shana, Dart, if you want to go have a heart-to-heart, the view from the balcony is perfect. When the sun hits just right, those hills sing."
Yep. Also, he's like, "We won't bother you for like 2 hours," and Shauna's like, "Let's be serious, guys. It's going to be about 10 minutes." And then Dart is like, "What's going to be about 10 minutes?"
And most of that is going to be spent crying.
Yes.
Yeah, and then in a great, so Dart follows Shana out there, and then in a great like switcheroo to the pacing of the game so far, Dart is like, "I wonder if we can see Celeste from here." And Shauna's like, "Remember when we cut through the fucking mountains earlier, dumbass? It's like leagues away. We can't see our fucking town." And she's like,
"Stupid."
She's like, "But I do wonder if everyone's okay." And then Lavitz comes in and is like, "Well, actually, I just got a report that everyone in the area ended up surviving. There's just no home to return to, and rebuilding will take forever." And he's like, "Oh, and by the way, the dragon is marching on Hoax, so I gotta peace out." And then Dart matures a little bit and he's like, "I've been acting selfish for the last 5 years. I missed Shana getting kidnapped. My whole town was razed because I wasn't there. So I'm not going to be a piece of shit and play all these games. I'm going to actually do good and help people." And then he delivers a speech set to Dart's theme, which is the best single character theme in JRPG history. I swear, it's so good.
It's really good.
It's
pretty solid.
It's so great. And so then afterwards, that Lavitz is like, "But before we go, can you come meet my mom? She'd love to meet you." He's such a fucking cutie pie, and I love it.
It's adorable. I love him.
Yeah, so if you're like me, you don't go home and you go and do like an hour of side quests. So there's one that's my favorite. I think I actually talk about it a little later, but I'll talk about it right now. So you go to the bar and you buy some alcohol that you can't drink, and you're like, "Well, what the hell is this for?" And then you stumble under the fountain and there's a hobo blocking the way. But if you have the alcohol on you, he just takes it and runs, but then that lets you explore the sewers. And so right away you hit a dead end right there. Like there's like a couple like chests. It's not like a true dead end, but there's a gate that you can't go past. But back in the castle, you could have climbed all the way to the top of the castle to find a ladder to climb all the way to the bottom of the castle to open that gate. So then if you go back, go through the gate, there's a boat. And the main reason I'm bringing it up is this boat ride. So the boat ride takes you through all 35 screens of this castle. You go through this town. You go through all of the waterway of Venice, of this whole town, and see everything, and you're going under everything, and it's beautiful. It takes like 3 minutes, and I don't care. It's beautiful. And at the end, you get to an empty room that you're like, "Well, that was a fucking waste." But if you look at one of the boxes, there's a Stardust. But it's like
nice,
the super long, beautiful thing, and it's like complicated on how to access it, and it's all for a fucking Stardust. But I don't care. It's good.
Okay. I'm a good little RPG girl, and I do a good job on towns, but I didn't get that one.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn it, come on. I thought I found everything in the town, but I missed that one.
Yeah.
I think I talked to the drunk guy, but I didn't talk to him after
Finding the alcohol.
Getting the alcohol. Yeah, I didn't think, I should go back and talk to him. Yeah, damn.
Yeah.
Also, there was this one little walkway that goes down, and then there's literally just like a barrel in the way.
Yeah.
Can you get past that somehow?
No, I think that's just to show you more of the water that you go by later, so you can see like, oh, I remember when I was by that barrel.
Cool. So that's not like playable area, because that was the only thing I noticed as something that I felt like I was like missing, and then I was just like, well, whatever, time to continue the game.
Yeah. So we make it over to see Lavitz's mom, and she's great. The first thing she does is just like, oh my god, you brought home a bride. You're finally married. Please move out of my house. And then, but Shauna's like, yep. And then you get an answer. You get dialogue choices for Dart. What did you guys answer? Did you object?
I don't remember. I think I objected. I can't remember.
Do you remember, Maddie?
I actually don't remember. I probably said no, but wait, hold on. What are the actual choices?
So,
what's the actual wording?
So the first one is he is not her boyfriend, and then the other one is like, good luck, Shana.
Oh, I definitely went with good luck, Shana. Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're playing Dart as written and you're a dick to Shana, and Shana's like, do you mean it, Dart senpai? And Lavitz is she's really like hurt. She's like, oh, so like I thought I was getting through to you. Like, I thought we kind of had a moment back there, but no, apparently you still don't even care, and you would rather me go with Lavitz, whatever. But Lavitz, no matter which you pick, is like, don't be silly. She's Dart's sweetheart. And if you pick on this one, Dart actually goes along with it, because his mom is like, oh, well, then don't be a dick to Shana, you dumbass. Tell her how you feel. And Dart's like, I will. And Shana turns around like doughy-eyed and is like, so you mean we're a boyfriend, girlfriend? And Dart's like, I was just shutting her up. And it's just like, God, he sucks. But if you say that she's not Lavitz's bride, and Dart says that Shana is Dart's sweetheart, and Shana then says that it's true, and Dart is like, what? No?
Oh, yeah,
no?
that was like, definitely the one I went with, because she's like, yeah, I'm his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Dart's like,
Yeah, so it's almost backwards. If you're trying to make Dart a dick, he has to agree to be her girlfriend. But if you just say, she's not my girlfriend, you end up having to agree that she is. And it's kind of cool. But,
that is cute.
Yeah, Lavitz is like, my mom worries a lot, so please don't tell her that I almost died and was captured and I fought a giant snake and all this shit. Just make up shit. Like, just don't tell her the truth. And, then he's like, Mom, I have to go to Hoax. And, so his mom's like, well, Shana, come help me make dinner. And Shana's actually excited about it. Shana is, for me, is a believable, I really want to be a homemaker thing, unlike Ellie's, I have done everything for myself, but now I just want to be with my boyfriend at the end of Xenogears.
Yeah, it's just like, she's just a small town girl who does normal, like, who just does typical feminine stuff and likes to cook and take care of people, but like, I don't know, she's well written enough that it's just like, cool, yeah.
Yeah, because like earlier when Lavitz hurt himself, he's like, well, we gotta go, and she's like, are you sure you can walk? Like, do we need to stop and take care of you some more? And he just looks at her and he's like, you're gonna make somebody a really good wife one day. And she goes, thanks. Like, that's what I'm going
that
for.
Line. Yeah, she's like, sweet, good.
Yeah. She's like, if Mr. So-and-so will, like, pay attention one of these days.
Ring by spring.
But, yeah, so should they go to make dinner, and Lavitz shows you around the house, and if you go up on to the roof, he's like, well, let me show you my treasure, and it's not his dick, but it's it's a view of the castle from his roof, and he grew up hanging out there, and it's like, one day I'll be a knight like my father, and he's like, to protect Albert, I would tear the flesh from my body. It's the same passion you have towards Shana, and I'm just like, and I'm like, just find you a man that'll rip the flesh from his own body.
But he's like that's the same passion you have towards Shana, and he's like, toward who?
and then Lavitz like tries to break through to him, and he's like, look, you can't be Helga G. Pataki for your entire life. You kind of have to like acknowledge your feelings towards Shana and see what they mean. And he's still just like, but I can't help but protect her. And Lavitz is like, it's because you love her, Jesus Christ. Like, pay attention, you dumbass. Thankfully, this isn't going to be a whole game of it like it is for Squall and Renoa. Like, that's the big spoilers. It's a big moment in disc 2. So it's like half the game you do it, but it's not the whole time of just back and forth shit. But Yeah, so Dart is like, well, I understand. So Lavitz is like, finally, and he leaves. And then Dart to himself is like, she's a baby sister to me. Got it. He's just like, dumbass. But, and so we finish the meal, and Lavitz is like, that was so good, Mom. And she goes, no, what's good is if you give me some grandbabies, so go out there and find you a bride.
Yep. It's really good.
And so we go out to find a bride, and I finish up all the side quests. I threw some pictures in the notes, if you want to look at them, of all of the cool-ass waterways and stuff that you find hidden in the other bits, but it's dope.
Love to have waterways.
It's so good. So on your way out of town, you bump into a girl named Martell. She's only important in the fact that she's the Stardust quest giver. She'll give you an item for every 10 Stardust you give her, and the 50 Stardust starts the final side quest of the game.
Oh, that's what her deal is.
Yeah.
I was like, that was a weird scene.
Yeah, because she's like carrying a baby, and you bump into her, and she like belittles you for waking up the baby, and you try to protest, and she's like, okay, so now you're being loud, and you're going to wake up my baby, and it's weird, but she's not important. So we go off to Hoax, and
This town is fake.
yeah. So apparently, the romanization of the Japanese is Hokes, but I think that Hoax is way better.
Yeah.
It's such a, because it sticks out in my head. Like, the town of Hoax is one of the towns that like I know of the whole time. Like, it's thematically relevant to the story, but it's also the coolest fucking name. But it's actually a bad name, but it's cool because it's a bad name. So when we get there, we get the shit's going down music for the first time of many, and I love it. I mostly love it for the bass line, so Spiffle probably doesn't think it's a good song, but it's a great song.
No, it's good.
Yeah, and everyone's you get to explore with it on, but you're supposed to go and talk to Kaiser right away. Did you guys find the famous midwife interaction?
Oh, yes.
I don't recall.
Okay,
That sure is a scene.
yeah, so you find your way. It's like weird. The only way in and out of it is like through a ladder in somebody else's house. It's so bizarre. But
It's a big, maze thing. It's like, you need to get a better location, lady, for your business.
yeah, especially because she's like 100 years old. Like, if she has to go out to buy something, like, what, does she go through that whole dungeon to get back out? But when you get there,
She's a doctor, but her dungeon's at the top. Her house is at the top of a dungeon mountain.
she's Saitan's wife. That's who this is. But so you get down there, and she's like, "Oh, have you come for my services?" And they're like, "What?" She's like, "Oh, I'm a midwife." And Shauna's like, "No, it's too early."
She's like, not yet. It's not yet. We don't need your services.
She's like, "I have a plan, goddammit." And Dart is, of course, just like, "What? What's even going on?" And he, like, I think at one point he implies that like he'll never have sex with Shana or something like that, and she tackles him to the ground. And it's just like, I'm not going to deal with your bullshit today, Dart. And
She says "rar" and glomps him.
yeah, and it's a really cute scene. Hoax explodes here in a second, so I think it's missable. I don't think you can go back to it, Eli.
Oh, yeah.
But it's good. So there's 2 Stardust in the town, and a lot of, well, I guess if there's Stardust, you can come back. Maybe she's still there. But there's a lot of NPCs who don't believe in dragons. But like, most of the people are like,
Conspicuously many.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Lavitz comes in and is like, "Yeah, I saw the fucking dragon." And they're like, "Yeah, you're our boss, but like, I don't think there's actual dragons. Maybe you saw like a praying mantis landed on your face and it looked big."
Because you forgot about depth perception.
Yeah, but it couldn't possibly be a real dragon, and there won't be a dragon that shows up and kills all of our friends in a little bit.
No, not at all. Definitely.
So Lavitz goes to meet the Kaiser, and they have like an old soldier sort of all of our knights died, so we'll unite Syrio with our own bare hands moment, and it's really great. And then Lavitz introduces Dart and Shana, and the Kaiser's like, great, you brought one warrior and one of those girls, I guess. She can just go over and cook. I've heard about girls on the internet.
Yeah.
And Shana, who really, like, because it's her thing to just settle down, she's just like, awesome, I don't have to fight, I can cook. I love to cook.
Usually she protests about that shit.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But she's like, there's a dragon. I don't want to fight a dragon. Like, I can hold my own, but like, you can do the dragon.
Yeah.
And so,
quick aside, I want to bring just a few more lines. When you first get to the town, like the second fucking line that happens is Shana goes, "Is this really a town?" And I'm like, she's like saying it looks like shit. Basically, she's like, "Damn bitch, you live like this." What she's saying is like it's like a fortress, so it's like this seems like a military installation, not a place where people live. But like it comes off as very rude. Also, there's 2 fireplaces in this town. One of them, you talk to it, and it just says, "This is one fine fireplace." And then the other one says, "The flame puts me in the mood to, quote, do it!" Exclamation point.
It's so good.
Roast marshmallows.
Yeah.
I honestly don't... Are they referring to sex here?
No. So
is it censorship, like, or is it just weird fucking writing?
It's weird writing. It's do it in the same way that "yata" is "I did it" type thing. So it's just like it puts me in the mood to get pumped up, and like the fire is hot. It makes my blood boil in like a good way, and I think I can do anything when I look at this fire. But they said it puts them in the mood to do it.
It's like the fire is Hans and the other fire is Franz, and they are here to pump you up.
You gotta make that joke.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was like.
Now.
Yeah.
Because the last 2 fireplaces had Stardust in them, I honestly thought do it meant like, this fireplace makes me want to thrust my hand into the fireplace and grab whatever's inside. That's how I parsed that.
Because like when you find them, it's just like, ouch, shit, this is so hot. You acquired one Stardust. And so it's just like, does he literally just reach into the flames and grab these Stardust?
Cool.
But yeah, so Shauna's like, sure, I love to cook, and Dart's like, yeah, but you suck at cooking, and she's like, Lavis's mom loved it, and he's like, my mom's really nice, and the Kaiser's like, it's okay, just make a lot of it, make sure that it's edible, and make sure that it's salty, and that'll be fine. And she's like, you guys are really fucking rude.
Everyone's just negging her constantly.
So then you and Lavitz go to stand watch on the ramparts, and it goes to nighttime, and then Dart is like, I'm hungry, and we're good for a little bit, so I'll be our B. The owls are hanging out and hooting and hollering, and they would leave if there were a dragon coming. Like, they're very protective of themselves. They wouldn't just be mating call if there was something bad happening. So I'm going to go get some food. Do you want anything? But as soon as you get down from the wall, the hooting stops. And it's great, and it's cinematic, and I love it. It's one of my favorite bits in this opening bit.
The owls are not what they seem.
Yeah.
They are not?
Yeah.
That's a joke for Spiff, sorry.
So then the Sandorans attack, and we fight some bosses. The first is a Sandoran Elite, which splits into 3 and is pretty nasty, but not that bad. Did you guys have any problems with the first boss?
No, not that I recall.
Yeah. He's fine. Next is Giganto, which they don't call him Kongol at all. And then later somebody's like, Kongol came by, and I'm just like, okay, I could have been using his whole name, but in my notes I wrote Giganto every time. Yeah. This is Kongol. He comes back. He's an important character. But they call him Giganto almost exclusively this time, which is actually his race. So it's kind of like
that's
racist.
It's very rude.
Yeah. But
yeah, I'm not gonna even joke.
Yeah. So, the second boss, Giganto, counterattacks you for a lot of damage if you fuck up on your additions. So I really hope that you guys had mastered them by this point, because getting clotheslined and thrown across the battle
fucked up
sucks.
So many times. I was like, okay, so I do nothing if I don't make my addition perfectly. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I don't always get the additions, like, in general. Like, I certainly at this point was not getting them all the time. But I guess when I see that red symbol, I guess it instinctively makes me try harder subconsciously because I only missed the counter like once.
Yeah.
And that's like this entire game. Like if I'm just attacking and there's no counter, I might miss it. But if there's a counter, I guess I just instinctively try harder because I saw that attack one time, and that's the only red I've missed the entire game so far. I won't do it again.
There's a weird amount of tension for me in completing those additions, and like, you know, in like Super Mario RPG or Paper Mario, you know, it's helpful to do those, but it's not important. With this, it's like, okay, I have to hit this, and if it gets to a point where it's like, I really have to hit this one, I fuck it up more because I just get nervous and I'm like, oh god, I know I'm going to fuck it up. Fuck! I did it! I didn't do it right. And just, like, anytime I've been in a tutorial, I haven't been able to do it correctly. Like, even after I got to the point where it's like, okay, I've got the rhythm down, I've got the timing down, and then I get into a tutorial and it's like, I can't do it anymore. What the fuck happened to me?
Yeah, when I was growing up in playing this game, I didn't give anybody any edition that had more than 2 ads because those are the ones that can get countered, and I was so bad at counterattacks and I fucked them up every time, and I'm like, I don't want to do this ever again. I want to have fun, and so I just gave them those, which then when I replayed it and I was mastering like the 7-hit ones, it feels so badass when you're at the end of the game and you're just like, take these 7 sword hits, you motherfucker. But it definitely took me a while to get there, so don't feel bad. I sucked too. Halfway through, he puts his giant axe away and decides to punch you instead, and that's somehow how he gets dangerous. And he does way more damage when he's punching you.
Yep.
And so when you finish the fight, Dart jumps up to do his anime sword thing, like from the snake, and Kongol just grabs him by the face and slams him into the ground. And then, like a blessing from the wave existence, the girl from the intro flies in wearing kick-ass wings and armor and shit, and she knocks Kongol back and points his sword at Dart, and it's just like, awaken dragon of the dragoon of the red-eyed dragon. And Dart's memento glows bright red, and then his theme plays, and it's amazing, and it's so great. It's so cool. He floats into the air. A bird made out of fire flies at him, like takes him over, like Sailor Moon expands into his own kick-ass armor and wings. And
I summon Red Eyes, Black Dragon.
Yes, and then he kicks Kongol's ass like it's nothing, and then like after he kicks Kongol, and he's just like, what is this armor? And he's just standing there victorious. Rose, the girl from the intro, jumps down in her normal clothes, looks at the camera, tosses her hair back, and puts it behind her ear, and it's the most badass fucking thing. It's so good. I love Rose.
It's a flex. She's good.
We get to meet Rose for like 5 seconds, and she's already like the best part of this game this time around. But so we now have the best party of Dart, Rose, and Lavitz. That's who I always have played as for forever. I'm trying to not make that be my main party this time around because Dart, Rose, and Lavitz is just so good. Rose's it's either her first or her second Dragoon thing. It's a attack that drains and heals the whole party for 30%, which is great. Now I don't need this healer bullshit in my party. I have Rose, so it's great. I love her so much. Yeah. But yeah, so Dart is then like, by the way, what the fuck was all of that? And she introduces herself as Rose and says that Dart awoke as a Dragoon. And then Kongol gets up and runs off, and Rose is like, huh, that's weird that you didn't die. It's almost as if you'll have plot significance later. So Dart then passes out from exertion and wakes up the next day in the inn, where Shauna's like, are you trying to fuck my man? How dare you come around here? Who are you? Why do you know him? Like, why is his hair on your shoulder?
She knows that they go way back because he's got only one sleeve and Rose has only one pants leg.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
why do y'all have matching Power Ranger outfits?
Right. And then Rose is like, don't worry, there will be a dungeon where we have to open a lock with my pants leg in his sleeve.
Imagine having 2 sleeves or 2 pant legs. This post made by the Asymmetry Gang.
So then Dart wakes up, and you can say that she saved my life, or she's an important person to me. If you say she's important, Rose says my favorite line. She goes, are you seducing me?
I wish I had chosen that.
It's so good. And I love her so much. So Dart explains, like, no. I just suck at dragon fighting, and you're the one that's saved me. And then Rose is like, yeah, I followed him because I knew that he was the red-eyed dragoon, and I wanted to see how, when, or if he had awakened. And Lavitz is the smartest boy in JRPGs. We were 3 hours in, and he turns to the mysterious character who knows everything and is like, who the fuck are you? Why do you know so much? You know things that nobody should know. You speak firsthand accounts of all of these ancient myths. What the hell is going on? Which nobody ever did to Saitan.
yeah.
And Rose just hand waves it and is like, it's better than ignorance, isn't it? And
yeah, she's like, what, would you rather me not know things?
And then stuff happens so that Lavitz can't, like, chew her out. But you can tell Lavitz is just like, that's not a fucking answer. But, yeah, so she then says that us people look like her friends from back the day, and now that she knows us, we're just like her friends. They knew who to fight, who to protect, and so she wants to stick around because she appreciates that. And Shauna's like, wow, I was wrong about you, you're a good person. And Rose is like, it's whatever, I'm used to being hated. So then a messenger comes in and says that the dragon has attacked the 7th fort, and Lavitz is like, well, Avengers assemble at the fort, and Rote is like, humans can't kill dragons. You need dragoons. If only you somehow knew 2 of them that, like, have your back and shit.
Yeah, I don't know where we could find those.
Yeah.
And Dart's like, I could be a missions guy. I can do Dragoon thing now.
Yeah, and then his theme kicks in, and it's like he's not even giving a speech. He's just like, I believe in this power, and it's just like, all right, I guess that's a heroic moment for Dart. But then you hear Firebrand in the distance, and I love this part. And Dart's like. So what he says is it brings back the fear I felt before, but basically he's like, because it, like, with the juxtaposition, he's like, I have all this power, but I'm still scared of this dragon. And then Rose is like, well, the real fear hasn't even started yet, which I love that bit. It's really good. Mm-hmm. But
you're like little baby,
which reminds me of another thing about names. Is Rose's name is Rose. It is Rose in Japanese. In the beta, it had an accent mark. I'm going to call her Rose. Just cuz. I'm not going to say Rose every time.
A regular fucking person's name, and Rose is
a wine. Yeah. But yeah, I because, like, there's a big thing with mispronunciation in this game because everyone says Dragoon and everyone says Rose and stuff like that. And, like, there is a subset of people that will potentially stumble across this on Spotify. I know what's right. I've played this game for 20 years. Get off my back.
You mean Boku no Dragoon?
And so on the way out, you hear all of them whispering. They're like, wow, Dart is so cool and awesome. He's probably our messiah. And Dart's just, like, proud of himself. And Rose is like, you're not going to be a messiah if you suck like this much. Do you want a tutorial? I skipped it because I was running out of time for the day. Did you guys do the tutorial? And do you want to describe the Dragoon system for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Unless Eli wants to. It's cool. Every time you do your additions, it fills up a little meter, and then you get to go to be Dragoon power. And when you're in Dragoon power, it's like you're still doing timed hit additions. It's just like it's more different this time. Mm-hmm. The reason is because the attacks are pre-designed, like epic animations, so they have to wait for you to do the whole thing before they can trigger it. Yeah. Right. So it's like, it's pretty hard. There's a thing rotating, and you have to hit the button like 4 or 5 times to get it perfect.
Yeah, it maxes out at 7. This game really likes the number 7, and nice. I don't think I've ever got the 7-hit combo.
Oh wow, it's hard. I think it's 4 to start with. Yeah. And it took me a bunch of tries to get it. Yeah. And of course, I haven't attempted it in real combat. I've only tried the tutorial because we stopped playing immediately after this. But yeah, it's pretty hard. And then I love how, so they have this elaborate tutorial where they're like, here's how you do it. And then you try it. And if you don't get it quite right, she's like, basically they're like, do you want to try again? You get to keep trying again as much as you want. But then you switch over to the magic tutorial where they do the same thing, where after you use the magic, they're like, do you need to practice it again? But I'm like, I just
You
went
just
into the
selected it
menu
from a list.
and picked magic. Why are you telling me that I should practice it again? And she's like, great job, you nailed it. And I'm like, but it wasn't even a timed hit. It was just picking magic from a fucking menu.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah, it's good. Let's see, was there any more to it than that? That's pretty much it. You fill up your meter, you go bazonkers, and you do hits, or you do magics, and then after... How long? Actually, I forget this. How long do you stay dragon for a certain number of turns?
So you stay per Dragoon level, but you can also only fill up your gauge one. So, like, say you're Dragoon level 4, that means you can fill up your gauge 4 times and stay for 4 turns, or you can only fill it up 1 time and stay for 1 turn. So you can be like, I just need to heal. I don't need to Dragoon for a long time.
So the meter fills up multiple times, and then you bank them basically to determine how much dragon you want to be.
Yeah, and while you're a Dragoon, you can't flee or use items. So it's like you're kind of restricted. You're super powerful, but you're restricted in what you can do. So you have to like weigh those benefits. So like, all right, if everyone goes Super Saiyan here for a second, I can't heal for the next like 4 turns. Like, do I want to take that risk, or do I want to let one person only be a Dragoon for 1 turn or something?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, neat. Yeah, I haven't actually used it in real combat yet, so I don't know how that susses out. And of course, I only have... No, I guess I have 2 now, because we've got Dart and Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm guessing Shana never becomes dragon.
No, she is your 3rd or 4th Dragoon that you get.
Oh, well, but she can't do additions. So how does she fill up her dragon meter?
As you level up your dragon level, her attacks do a different amount per. Give you a base chunk of SP.
So she just gets it by attacking.
Yeah, so like when she hits it, she'll get like 30 at first, and then she'll get 50
to get
like 100.
The first gets you some anyway. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Cool.
But yeah,
and now making additions is even more important, because every time you get the addition, it's like gain 2 DPs, and you're like, yes.
Yeah, it feels good. So after that we go outside and save, and we ran a little long today, but I thought we were going to run way longer than this, because I thought I was going to ramble, but we did pretty good. Most of this is
volcano. Most
of this is because of me rambling, but anywho, yeah. We did it.
It's the beginning of the game. A lot of things happen.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the game so far?
I like it so far. It's pretty cool. I don't feel like it doesn't feel as intense as some of the other games we've tackled this year. So
yeah, it's just really breezy, and I mean that in a very good way.
Yeah.
Breezy can be bad if it's breezy for the entire game and I never get invested, but like it's the first 3 hours. I don't have to be super invested. I just have to be having a good time, which I am having a good time.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see if that having a good time will eventually result in me caring a whole lot. But yeah, the writing is cool. The characters all have things going on. It's nice. There's some little jokes here and there. It's just good. It's just good, like meat and potatoes, you know.
Yeah.
It's like fundamentals. It's really solid.
It's not to the extreme that Rogue Galaxy was, but it's like, yeah, you're fighting a dragon, saving a chosen one, and stopping a civil war. We've all been there, right? But this one, it's like, yeah, but you've never done it with Dart and Rose and Lavitz and Shana before, and that means something a lot here, more than it did in Rogue Galaxy. It's like, oh, here's the factory level, but it's factory level with Jupus, Tukey, McGonagall. But
yeah, totally.
It's still even more because they break up the dungeons with like plot stuff a lot more in this game, and so it's definitely you're hanging out with your 7 best friends for the next 40 hours more than anything else. But
yeah, it's real hangouty, which is another reason why it reminds me of Chrono Cross. Chrono Cross is like chill out with your friends and be depressed.
Yeah.
And this is like chill out with your friends and not be depressed.
Yeah. It's good. I like it. I like it a lot, as previously said.
Yeah, totally.
I think my favorite moment besides Dart's Awakening, like it's so good. That was the one that the Let's Play was like, why wasn't this in an FMV. That was such an epic moment. Why didn't they do it? I'm like, no, the correct choice was to do it in the battle scene.
No, it's cool as hell.
Yeah. But my other favorite moment is the owls stopping. It's just like, it's so good. Like not to badmouth an entire genre of video game, but JRPGs usually don't care about their sound in ways like that.
No, they're not exactly known for their sound design.
Yeah, and this one, like, making the sound design tell a story in this game was, like, bizarre and great. But,
no, it's tight.
But yeah, that about does it for the week. If you like what we do here, let us know. You can reach out at rpgbookclub@gmail.com, on Twitter at rpgbookclub, or in our Discord, whose link is in the description. And if you really, really like what you do here, you can help us pay for it by donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/rpgbookclub, or by getting some merch from our store at shop.spreadshirt.com/rpgbookclub. Join us next week when we play part 2 of chapter 1, stopping when we switch discs. We get
Sam.
What?
We should do the fire makes me want to do it for a shirt.
The shirt puts me in the mood to do it.
No. Or, oh no, my God.
Oh no, my God.
New shirt idea. Just throwing that out
That's
there.
good.
Okay.
It's pretty good. So so we'll stop when we switch discs. This game definitely treats its disc as chapters, which is why we're ending chapter 1 at the end of the disc.
Good.
So do not play forward because it's starting the next episode of the anime. So
do not even touch the second disc.
Yeah.
Or you will be banned from video games.
That'll be it. Yeah. For our RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I've been Elias, Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddie at Spifflewebbin.
And love you, bye.
Toodaloo.
Oh no, my God.
Are you seducing me?